Good evening, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. How is everyone doing this evening? I'm glad you guys are back. Glad you guys are back. I thank you guys. Just give me a moment for a second. Um, just give me a moment. All right. We have a couple of people going to be just a tad bit tardy. Just a tad bit tardy. Okay. In the meantime, let me just go ahead and say hello to those in the chat. All right. Let me just say my hellos. Let me see who is in the chat tonight. Hello, Talicia Baker. Hello, Pretty Brown Eyes. Hey, Toria. Hello, Tori. Hey, Good Design. Good afternoon. Good evening, Rabbit. I'm in my afternoon mode right now. I've been all over the place all day. So good evening, good night, good everything. Hey, Tristan Mommy 2310. Hello, powerful. Hello, Johnny Hickerson. How are you this evening? Hey, Nosy Rosie Grand. How are you? Hey, S. Thompson. I mean Thomas. I'm screwing up the name. Hey, Shaw. How you doing today? All right. I think I got everybody that's in the chat. Nope, I don't have everybody in the chat yet. Hold on. Hey, Annette. Hello. Lisa Girl 1100. Hello. Let's see. Ms. Ja. Hello. How are you this evening? Okay, Vivian is in the house. Hey, Charlie's Reflection, how are you? Perspective Me, hello, hello. Kitty, hey, Kitty. Hey, love from the Ether. Hello, Gigi Smith. Okay, I'm screwing up your name. 350. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Infamous Sylvia's channel. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. This is a channel where you will get the real deal, what happened in the courtroom. Well, today what we're going to do, we're going to continue Cardi's testimony. And hopefully we'll have another surprise of her being in the chat. So guys, let me just take a moment, listen to some music, and I'll be right with you. Okay, guys? All right. Hold on. Okay, everyone, we're going to get started. I don't want to hold you guys too much longer. Well, I'll just cover until the person comes in to take the spot. All right, guys, without further ado, let me introduce our cast for the reenactment for the Cardi B, Tasha K trial, defamation and slanders trial. This happened back in January of 2022, a few months ago. And what we're going to do is just let you guys hear what actually happened in court. I was there, so and many people weren't there, and it was said that we told a lie, but I'm going to let you guys hear it for yourself. So, all right, without further ado, let me introduce to you guys and reintroduce and to those who haven't been here. All right, first we're going to have our court reporter, played by the wonderful, powerful. Okay, there's two of each powerful. I don't know which one you're going to use, but I'm going to bring both of you up, okay? All right, here she go. Hey, powerful. Okay, she's having trouble getting in, guys. Hold on. Powerful, are you there? She's having some technical difficulty. All right. Next, we're going to have our wonderful judge. She's being played by our own Henny Hen for today. Judge Ray by Henny Hen. Hey, Henny.
Hello, everybody. Blessings.
Blessings to you too, Henny. All right. Our wonderful Miss Moore is still back here, which well known to us as Miss Purple Couch. Hey, Purple Couch.
Yeah.
Got
Hello, hello.
Got the name right this time. Court deputy, are you okay? Say something. We can't hear you. Okay, something's wrong with her mic. She's having some technical difficulty. Okay, our final person, our returning wonderful Cardi B, and her name is Diana. Hey, Diana.
Hello, ladies.
How are you?
Hello.
Feeling good,
Blessings.
feeling good. Happy Saturday.
Well, Diana, we had so much rave review of your playing Cardi B. It's awesome.
Oh, I am honored. She is one of my idols, and it's been a pleasure working with you, ladies.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, let's see if we can get started. I'm gonna play Olga for a minute until my Olga comes in. So I'm gonna play that. I hope I can do the job well, because I'm moving everything around here, so I just have to fit in where I fit in. Okay, so I'll be playing Olga. Let me change my name to Olga because someone mentioned, "Oh, Sophia, we don't know who you are right now," so I'm gonna change my name to Olga. All right, here we go. And then the real Olga is going to come in after I finish. Okay, guys, y'all ready to rock and roll?
Let's do this.
All right, here we go.
All right. All
Oh,
right. Have a seat before,
I'm sorry.
right?
I was looking for her to say all rise. Here she
Oh,
comes. Hold on, here she comes. She's coming back.
we're upon the jurors.
Hold on a
Okay.
second. She's having a hard time coming in here. Are you okay now, Powerful? Powerful, you okay? Okay, yeah, she's still having trouble.
Okay. All rise. Whereupon the juries exited the courtroom. All right. Have a seat. Before we finish, though, we'll take a break so that we've kind of eliminated another break that would happen in 30 minutes anyway. I'm going to assume that the plaintiff had produced, excuse me, that the defendant had produced this video to plaintiff prior to trial, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, right, Miss Moore.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where are we?
Line 8,
Line
147.
8, page
147.
147.
We apologize, everyone. We apologize.
Okay, 147, line 8. Your Honor, I was simply saying that she had not said this is true and accurate, that she hadn't laid a foundation.
Okay, alright. Did you have the video before trial?
Me or them? Okay, somebody's having people in the background. Okay, I mute that. Me or them?
Talking to the plaintiffs, Miss Moore.
Miss Moore?
Yes, a week ago, Your Honor.
Okay, so you had the video. Do you question its authenticity?
I was just simply.
Well, let me put it this way. Did you watch the video? And if you did, based on watching the video, do you have any doubt that it is a true video of statements made by your client?
Your Honor, we have had doubts about.
Answer my question. Answer my question.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
After watching the video, do you have doubts that the video is an accurate video of what your client said or did?
We have doubts the video is complete, Your Honor.
That it's complete?
Yes.
Meaning what? Meaning what?
Meaning that it's the entire video or it hasn't been edited.
Entire video? Well, what belief can you provide to me? Not belief, but what evidence do you have that it has been edited or that it's not complete? In other words, do we need to have your client watch the video in court before we show it to the jury? How long a video is this, by the way?
It's maybe 10 seconds or maybe 15 seconds.
All right, let's watch the video. Let's play it from beginning to end.
All right, sir.
Whereupon a video recording was played.
Okay, we gotta mute the
A
background.
little longer than 10 seconds. Pardon me?
No, I was
A
muting the
little
background.
longer than 10 seconds, but so based on that, you have questions about whether there was something taken out of it from the beginning of the video began to the end of the video.
No, Your Honor. Now that we've seen it, no.
Well, you had it prior to trial. You had said you had it a week ago. I'm not going to put up with bogus objections being made during the course of this defendant's presentation. Those objections weren't made during your presentation of a lot of videos. So y'all need to, if you've got concerns about videos that you have been shown that the defendant has provided to you that you think they may introduce, then you need to raise them with me prior to doing it this way.
Okay, yes, Your Honor.
It is the best way I can put it. It is unfair for you to raise an objection when you don't really have an objection, particularly if it's simply to throw the other side off their presentation of their evidence. So let's take a 10-minute recess and let's not have this situation happen again. And I'm happy to hear valid objections, but that wasn't a valid objection. Thank you.
All rise. This court stands in recess. Brief recess. All rise, whereupon the jurors enter the courtroom.
All right. Thank you. So when we last were together, the plaintiff had tendered, the defendant had tendered Defendant's Exhibit 36. Does the plaintiff maintain its objection or withdraw its objection?
No, I'm withdrawing it, Your Honor.
All right. So 36 is admitted. Thank you.
Whereupon this defendant's Exhibit 36 was marked for purpose of identification and admitted into evidence.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to publish Defendant 36 to the jury.
Thank you.
Whereupon a video recording was played.
Miss Almazar, that was you. Is that correct?
Give me just a second here. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yes.
And you stated that everything that you say and that you rap about, you did yourself. Is that correct?
I stated that in the video, but it's really like fictitious. Like, not everything that you say in your music is not about yourself. It's not an autobiography about yourself. It's things that really happen in your neighborhood. It's practically telling a story. It's an artistic form. So when you say everything that I say, I motherfucking did on God, did you not hear yourself say that? Oh, sorry.
Thank you for my part. So, because I don't know if I want to say that word. Okay. So you're saying, so you're saying everything that you said, I'm MFing dude on God. Did you not hear yourself say that?
Yeah, I did say that.
And did you not testify on direct that your faith is very important to you?
I did.
So, if you use, expression like on God, would that not, do you not mean whatever you say when you use such expressions?
Can you repeat that again, please?
Okay, you stated that you're a religious person, correct?
Uh-huh.
And in the end of this video, the last thing you say is on God, right?
Uh-huh.
Which means that you swear to God that you're telling the truth. Basically, that's what you mean.
I'm not swearing to God. Swearing to God is I swear.
So, what does on God mean?
On God, it just means like practically like period, like on God. But I'm not swearing. Swearing. Do you know what swearing is?
I do.
I swear to God. Do you swear?
Right. And you're saying, as a religious person, that you just use God like whenever?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you release a song called Everything? That's the name of the song in 2016.
Yes.
Okay. And I would like to play a part of that song so you now and then ask you some questions about that afterward. Is that okay?
Okay.
Are you admitting a file that includes the song or?
Yes, Your Honor.
What exhibit number is it?
It's Defendants Exhibit 37.
All right. Any objections to Defendants 37?
No, Your Honor.
Defendants Exhibit 37 admitted.
Defendant's Exhibit 37 was marked for purpose of identification and admitted into evidence.
Okay, can you pause it? Sorry, never mind. Actually, just play the whole thing.
An audio recording was played.
You can pause it. That's the song called Everything.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, that's not the whole song, but that's part of it.
Yes.
Did correct me if I'm wrong, but what I heard you say is, quote, "Don't be effing trick inward just so you can eat." That's the shit I did, and it really makes me weak. I would close my eye, dying for it or be over. I thought of a stranger inside. I just can't be sober. Is that correct quote?
Yes.
And were before that quote, you was addressing it to your sister Hennessy, is that correct?
Yes.
And that is in fact your sister's name
Yes.
in real life?
Yes.
Okay. You have stated that one of the ways in which my client has defamed you is by alleging that you are a user of drugs. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you have denied being a drug user. Is that right?
I have denied doing cocaine, and that's what your client has accused me of. Your client has accused me of doing cocaine.
So if you could answer my question, yes or no, or just like my client was doing with your attorney yesterday.
Hold on a
What?
second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Okay. So if she's talking, then you can object to the non-responsiveness of the answer. But you don't just get to cut her off. Your question was drug user, right?
Correct.
And so she was explaining that she had denied using cocaine and going further, and then you cut her off. So if you wanted to ask her a more specific question, then you can. But I think that the answer was responsive to the answer was responsive to the answer.
Yeah. Yes, Your Honor.
So you can finish your answer if you can remember the question.
Your client has accused me of doing cocaine repeatedly, and I have denied it repeatedly.
So you do not deny that you used other drugs. Is that what you're saying?
I have used certain other things.
Like Molly?
The thing about Molly is,
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
yes.
Percocet?
I have done Percocets when I was prescribed Percocets because I've done a couple of surgeries.
So your testimony is that you're a drug user of other drugs except cocaine?
I'm not a drug user because I don't do it.
But you have done drugs.
I have done it before.
Have you smoked weed? Was it? Okay, I'm sorry. But you've never done cocaine?
I've never done cocaine.
Have you smoked weed?
I've smoked weed before.
You drink alcohol, I'm assuming.
Yes.
So, just cocaine is the thing that you do not do.
I don't do cocaine.
On December 5th, 2018, you had tweeted, I think either tweet or put in Instagram an announcement that you and your husband had separated at that time. Do you recall that?
Can you repeat that again?
I'm sorry. On December 5th of 2018, you made an announcement to the media. I don't remember which platform you used, but in general, you made an announcement that you had split with your husband at that time.
Yes.
Okay. And then on January 31st, 2019, about 2 months later, you had made another announcement that you guys, the two of you, had reconciled. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you have stated that another way that my client allegedly defamed you is by saying that you had cheated on your husband. Is that right?
Yes.
Have you ever encouraged anyone to cheat on their significant other?
When I was around 21, when I was doing videos, I wasn't encouraging. I was just saying, like, hey, if a guy cheat on you, you should cheat on him back. But that's when I was single.
But you didn't make that video, right?
Yes, I did.
And so, at this point, Your Honor, I would like to introduce Defendant Exhibit 61 into evidence.
I'm assuming the plaintiffs have your list. Any objection to 61?
No, Your Honor.
61 is admitted.
Defendant's Exhibit 61 was marked for the purpose of identification and admitted into evidence.
And may I publish to the jury, Your Honor?
Yeah, once something has been admitted, you can publish it to the jury.
Thank you, Judge.
Whereupon a video recording was played.
That is you in the video.
Yes, that is me.
Is this the video that you referring to earlier?
Yes.
Okay, on direct examination, you testified that my client was the first person the source, and that told everybody that you had co-source. Is that correct?
Can you repeat that again?
I'm sorry. On direct examination, you testified that my client, Miss Kebe, was the source who told everyone, like, social media, whoever, the public, that you had co-source. Is that right?
She was one of them, and she was the only one that didn't retract it.
And you also testified that my client was the one that made up the nickname Co-Sore B.
Yes, and herpes B.
Now, in May of 2008, Azalea Banks, do you know who, or you're familiar with Azalea Bank, right?
Yes.
She's another celebrity like yourself.
Yes.
I mean, she probably not as world widely known, but she is a celebrity. Could we agree on that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. In 2018, Azalea Banks called you a quote, mediocre cold sore having bird, end quote. Do you remember that?
I really don't remember that, but I'm pretty sure that it happened.
And I'm sorry. And then after she said that, you and her got into an online feud with with one another. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And she even went on the Breakfast Club to talk about it. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And that all happened in May of 2018.
Yes.
And the Star Marie Joan interview was not released until September of 2018, correct?
Yes. But your client also made
Correct?
the herpes B.
Your Honor, if you would Your Honor, where's Judge?
Yes. So, yes. So, ma'am, you need to follow the same rules that I had for Miss Kibi, that you only answer the question that's asked. Your lawyer will get a chance to come back and ask you questions again after Miss Azu May Lava is finished. So, if there's things that need to be clarified, I'm sure she'll give you the opportunity to do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. And after the online feud with Azalea Banks, that's when the internet started giving you nickname Coleslaw B. Isn't that correct?
No.
Do you not recall it was that way?
I do not recall it that way.
So, your testimony is that the first time the nickname or the term coleslaw B was ever on the internet was when my client, Miss Kibi, posted onto the internet. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. In regards to your feud with Azalea Banks, you state you deny that you have cold sore and any herpes virus. Is that correct?
Uh-huh.
And those videos, the videos of the Breakfast Club interview with Azalea Banks is still available online, correct?
I guess so, yes.
And her tweets and posts where she said, that you're a mediocre coastal having birds still available, correct?
Yes.
And you have never sued Azalea Bank for defamation. Is that correct?
No, because
Just say yes or no, thank you.
no, I haven't.
That's a good example. If the because is important, Miss Moore, we'll come back and ask you why.
Okay. I don't know if this is
If it's a question, you can answer yes or no, then that's the way you should answer.
okay.
If it's not a question, you can answer yes or no. You can tell me you can't answer it that way and tell me why, perhaps. But if it's yes or no, it's yes or no. And your lawyer can ask you why.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to briefly speak about the test result that your attorney moved into evidence on your direct examination from UCLA. Do you recall what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And you already said that by your name, I mean, I don't know how to say her name, B. Almanzar.
Belcalis Almanzar.
Belcalis Almanzar is not on the record, correct?
No, it's not.
And your testimony, I believe, was that it was that was for privacy reason. Is that correct?
Yes.
Both of the tests that you or your attorney introduced were done in 2020. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you filed this lawsuit in March of 2019, correct?
Yes.
And you took tests specifically for this lawsuit. Is that right?
Yes. However, can I?
There's no other question pending. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
And despite that, you still chose to use not one, but two separate alias. Is that right?
Yes. I choose different alias all the time.
I don't want to keep having to tell you. I'm sorry. I don't want to be rude, but
I think that was a fair one.
okay.
I don't want to comment beyond that, but I think that explanation made sense.
We'll move on.
In the contents of the question that you asked.
Thank you, Judge. I believe that you testify also. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the tattoos that we saw that you testified about. And I could have, maybe I misheard you, but did you state that you got the Tommy tattoo in 2016?
I'm not sure if it was 2015 or 2016. It was definitely around those two times. I was in a relationship with somebody around that time, and it's on my left wrist.
Oh, okay, I got you. But I feel like some other ones are kind of closer to 2010. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So, this one was not at the same time as those. Is that fair?
No, those wasn't, not that one. This one wasn't.
Okay. And you, I believe, stated on direct that you had gotten all the tattoos that you were discussing and that your attorney was discussing while you were stripping.
No, my peacock tattoo and my tattoos right here, they were before stripping. Actually, I got my peacock tattoo. I started getting my peacock tattoo the same day that I turned 18.
Do you remember what year that was by that any chance?
That was, I'm saying, about October 11th, 2010.
2010? Okay.
Yes.
But in regards to 2015 or 2016, you were still stripping at that time and you were no longer doing that.
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Now, another alleged defamatory statement that my client made is that you were a prostitute. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you have obviously denied that statement.
Yes.
So, in the denial, did you, by denying that statement, do you deny that you ever referred yourself as a hoe or a stripper hoe or anything like that?
Can you repeat that again?
You denied being a prostitute, right?
Yes.
And with that denial, you also denied that you have never called yourself or referred yourself to your own self as a stripper hoe or a hoe or anything, any of those type of terms.
No, I never denied that. I deny myself calling, I deny prostitute. Prostitute. I never deny saying I'm a stripper, hoe, not nothing like that.
And there's a difference to you?
There is a difference.
Okay. But you do not deny that you have called yourself, your own self, a stripper hoe.
I never denied that.
Okay. So, Your Honor, well, let me ask you this. A lot of the time you were referring to yourself in these terms was that captured on video that you had posted to the internet.
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to show Ms. Almazar Defendant Exhibit 57 for identification.
Okay.
No objection.
Does that look like you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember making that video?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would like to move Defense Exhibit 57 into evidence.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
57 is admitted.
Whereupon Defendant's Exhibit 57 was marked for purpose of identification and admitted into evidence, and a video recording was played.
Your Honor, I would like to show Ms. Almazar Defendants 58 for identification purposes.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sorry. Does that look like you?
Yes.
Do you remember making this video?
I don't remember, but I practically is there. I did it.
Okay, so I would like to move Defendant Exhibit 58 into evidence, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Court deputy. Whereupon a video recording was played. Okay, let me rule before you start the videos. If you don't mind, that's the second time you've done... Huh? Second time you've done that. And the record needs to have my response. And then you can play the video. Thank you.
Defendant's Exhibit 58 was marked for the purpose of identification and admitted into evidence, and a video recording was played.
That's you in the video.
Yes.
At this time, I would like to show Ms. Almazar Exhibit 60 for identification.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that you in that video?
Yes.
Okay. Can we pause it? Your Honor, we move Defense Exhibit 60 into evidence.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
60 is admitted.
Court Deputy? Court Deputy.
Sorry. Defendant's Exhibit 60 was marked for the purpose of identification and admitted into evidence, and a video recording was played.
And that's you in the video as well.
Yes.
At this time, I would like to show Ms. Almazar Defendant Exhibit 63 for identification purposes.
Yes, ma'am.
Does that look like you in the video?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to move Defendant Exhibit 63 for evidence, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
63 is admitted without objection.
Whereupon Defendant's Exhibit 63 was marked for the purpose of identification and admitted into evidence, and a video recording was played.
Is that you in the video?
Yes.
And the rules, at the beginning, you said rule number 1, never fall in love with a trick. Is that correct?
Yes.
And a trick is another term for a John. Is that not?
What is a John? I don't know what is a John.
A John is someone who seeks companionship or of a prostitute.
No. A trick is a rich, you would say a rich boyfriend or a man that you have a relationship with. You don't really love him, but you're not selling your vagina. You're in a relationship with him. It's like having a rich boyfriend.
So then in that defense 63, the video we just watched, when you say rule number 3, shit ain't for free. Make sure you get that cheese before you give a little tease. What are you? Are you referring to exchanging money for sexual favors?
No, it's not even that. It's like, you don't have to sleep with a man right away. You don't have to sleep with a man right away. I'm married. I didn't sleep with my husband right away just because I liked him. And he also bought me gifts and took me to really nice, expensive dates before I ever slept with him. And I'm married to him. He's my husband.
Do you think that it's a requirement that someone pays you first before you sleep with them?
That is not paying. That is not paying. You're not paying to sleep with me. That is a requirement that I have. I require to be with a man that could financially sustain me, that could buy me nice things, that could help me pay bills. Well, half on the bills now. You know what I'm saying? I'm married and take me to expensive dates. That is the requirement that I have with everybody, every that I always have, even with my own husband, of course. I'm not going to date. I dated broke men. I'm not going to date broke guys. No.
Okay. Do you recall performing at the Hot 97 Summer Jam in 2019?
Yes.
And it was, I believe, it was thrown by Tisdale and the streaming service Tisdale.
Title, most likely, yeah.
Title. Okay. Okay. So, do you recall performing there?
Yes.
I would like to show Miss Almazar defendant exhibit 6 for identification purposes only.
All right.
Do you see that video?
Yes.
Does that look like the performance I'm speaking of?
Yes.
Do you remember that one now?
Excuse me?
Do you remember the performance in the Summer Jam now?
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, I would like to move Defendant Exhibit 6 into evidence.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Defendant 6 is admitted.
Defendant Exhibit 6 was marked for the purpose of identification and admitted into evidence, and a video recording was played.
That was you in that video, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when you were speaking, did you hear yourself say, quote, "We're getting money, scamming, selling pussy, 9 to 5, one way or another, we're hustling"?
Yes. I'm talking to the audience. Like, we're getting money whichever type of way. I'm not discriminating what you're getting. That's why I said 9 to 5. Scamming, hustling, selling pussy. That's what I'm saying. Clearly, I'm an artist. So I'm not selling pussy or I'm scamming or I'm having a 9 to 5. I'm literally an artist. So I'm describing a different type of incomes to the crowd.
Do you say we as in collective, correct?
Yes, because we are all in the building.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. I believe you already admitted on direct that you did work with Star Marie Jones. Is that correct?
I did.
Okay, I lost my spot.
Next page.
171.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Line 1.
So you knew her for so to say that you just didn't know her at all, that would not be correct.
It is correct because I don't know her. I didn't know her real name. I didn't know her age. I didn't know where she lived. I know that she was my coworker because we worked in the same club, but I didn't know her. Just the same way as you don't know me, but we're here. I didn't know her, and I still don't know her.
In about December of 2018, it was towards the end of 2018. It was after Miss Keeby had published the interview with Star Marie Jones. Do you recall going on your Instagram live and addressing that situation? You were in a hotel room and you were like in a towel on your head or something like that. Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
Okay. I would like to show Miss Almazar exhibit defense exhibit 1 for identification purposes only.
Thank you.
What number? What number?
Sorry, what number?
Number 1.
Honey. Oh, I'm sorry.
Number 1. Can you see that video?
Yes.
Is that you in the video?
Yes.
Does seeing that now refreshen your memory about that video?
No, it actually don't.
You don't remember making this video?
Clearly, I did it, but I don't remember what I said.
Right. Okay. But you remember you made it, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I would like to move Defendant Exhibit 1 into evidence.
Any objections?
Your Honor, I'd like to confer, please.
You want to confer with?
No, Your Honor, at the bench, please. Yes.
Whereupon a bench conference was held between the court and the counsel.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I just wanted to mention that this...
A little bit louder?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but I want to make sure she...
Okay, I just want to make sure that there's a mention of the counterclaims in this video, and this was any mention of counterclaims was ruled out in the pretrial order. So if you're not going to show that, there's no concern.
Okay. What number are we at? Sorry.
173,
173,
line 3.
line 3.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I have a specific timestamp because I cut out the part where she talks about schemo, but I don't only cut out parts where it would be like potential gangs.
About what?
About potential gangs.
But you have stuff in that video that go to Miss Keeby's counterclaims. Those are not. That isn't excluded.
I don't know is there a way we can take a minute to make sure?
Once you show the jury, you ring the bell.
I was not trying to. I just think I do, but I don't know what I
But
don't want to.
Well, then don't play it. Then until you know, you can come back to it after the next break.
yeah, we'll take a break and we'll listen to it.
We'll take another break about 4 o'clock, and you can listen to it in the break.
I want.
Well, then, do you have headphones? But put your headphones on and listen to it.
If you want to take a bathroom break, I can use one. I've been drinking a lot of water, so
No, we're not. I don't want to take one. We just took one 40 minutes ago.
okay. He ain't biased.
I mean, I specifically, whenever I listen to it, I specifically
How long is it?
from 6:50 to 9:15.
You're going to have to listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't play it if it's in there.
That's not what I'm saying. I don't think that clip.
Well, you've got to give you some certainty, and you can't. So why don't you have your co-counsel listen to it and just go sit down and listen to it? We'll sit quietly for 3 minutes while y'all listen to it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Deputy, court deputy.
The following proceedings con- continued in open court.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to just take a timeout here for 3 minutes so that the defense counsel can listen to this post, just to make sure that it doesn't have something in it that I had ruled out of the evidentiary presentation, just to make sure.
Judge, may I approach?
Hold on a second. You both can.
A bench conference was held between the court and counsel.
I just realized something. This video was made in December 2018. The lawsuit wasn't filed yet, so there would have been no Kibi counterclaim.
Did y'all just listen to it?
No,
Well, listen to it.
I don't have.
Um, I don't have. Well, we would like to listen to it, Your Honor.
I thought y'all were listening.
We had just started. Oh,
Go
we
ahead.
had
No,
just
no.
started the first second, and then she.
Okay, let's let them finish listening to it. Then they may have no objection to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we haven't started. We're going to start right now.
The following proceedings continued in open court.
All right, so plaintiff, do you have any objection to anything on the video?
Yes, Your Honor. Pretrial conference.
All right, well, hold on. Let me just ask the jury if y'all would step out for a few moments. I was trying to hope that I could handle it without you having to go out.
All rise, whereupon the jurors exit the courtroom.
All right, y'all can be seated. So given the prohibition on cameras in the courtroom, I didn't do it. But I really wanted to take a picture of the two of you with your headphones on. And y'all looked like y'all were in high school listening to some great album. So what's your objection?
Your Honor, this video was specifically ruled on by Your Honor at the motion in limine hearing. This is a video that defendants have contended the entirety of this case prove that my client is a gang member. And there is language in this video concerning bury a block. I'll go to jail for my kid that they have used in this motion for summary judgment in support of their counterclaims that Your Honor dismissed in their entirety to infer that this was showing that my client was threatening Tasha K to kill her and that she was in a gang because bury a block is a gang reference. So this has been excluded on multiple grounds.
Okay, let's just play it. Let me see it, and then I'll know what you're talking about, okay?
And just for the record, I'm only wanting to play. I was only going to publish just a minute 60. Sorry, 6:50 till until 5:15.
9:15.
9:15.
9:15.
And that's the section where we just listened to, Your Honor.
Okay, 6:50 until 9:15. All right, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
A video recording was played.
So that was the length of what you were intending to play?
Yes, sir.
And so what was the purpose of it?
Because she specifically talked about suing my client for defamation of character, and that she goes on to saying, I hate being famous because that means I can't put my hands on people. So I'm going to sue you instead.
What is that relevant to? What issue is that? I mean, we know she sued your client, so
Because, I mean, our whole entire position is that she sued because she couldn't physically fight her.
what is the relevance to in the lawsuits though? The lawsuit is your client said stuff allegedly about your client, said staff about her. That's not allegedly, but that it allegedly defamed her and allegedly caused her damage, and that there was no, and that your client had malice when she did what she did, and she was in reckless disregard for the truth when she published what she did. So, assuming that the plaintiff wanted to lay her hands on the defendant and felt like she couldn't do that because she's famous and she would be herself then in trouble for doing that, what difference does it make? I mean, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I didn't mean to cut you off. Basically, she doesn't really feel like she's defamed. She was defamed. She's just feeling a suit because she couldn't put her hand on my client.
Your logic makes no sense. It is that fact. It is the fact that she was defamed, which is the purpose that she wishes she could put her hands on your client. I guess. I mean, I don't think that goes to any of the issues in the lawsuit. I mean, I understand your point about, okay, maybe she wasn't defamed because she said things that your client can argue provided the basis for your client's claims against her, or even if she was defamed, then maybe she wasn't damaged because of the way she talks about herself in her life. I understand those things, but I don't think this video goes to any of that. So did you have any other basis that would be admissible?
No, just her state of mind of why this had been going on for 3 years. I mean, that's what
Her state of mind.
our basis is that.
Explain that. Her state of mind.
Like, I mean, I have, I had to think and then two more question about like her anger towards my client. And the fact that she just wanted to attack her. I mean, that hasn't happened to do with, that has nothing to do with gang. That has nothing to do with this. To do with, I mean, anyone could want to fight somebody. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily in a gang. I'm not being broaching the subject at all.
Well, that's true, but I still, her state of mind. So the schemo part, I mean, when he was mentioned at the very end, I mean, nobody really knows that's involved in this trial. The juries, I mean, who schemo is. So that's not going to alert anybody to anything necessarily if that's where it's cut off.
I mean, I cut it off before she mentioned his name, even because she says what I the thing that I am going to ask her about, she says right before then. I just, the only reason why I did, so I couldn't, it made me like I didn't want to cut it off in the middle of her talking to not make it seem like we were trying to hide something. That's all. But we can cut off his name even before being mentioned. That's not relevant at all to what I'm going to ask her, if that's the concern.
Miss Moore?
Your Honor, in addition to what I previously said about this being specifically excluded,
I mean, she makes a good point. There's really nothing about that that's gang related, and that inherently,
in the schemo part,
what's that word?
inherently.
Inherently.
No, inherently. No, not that, but the staff before that.
I just want to note, Your
The
Honor,
stuff
that
before that.
I just want to note, Your Honor, that, and I'm not suggesting that Miss Asmalova did this intentionally, but when I requested to confer, she represented to you twice that she'd taken the schemo part out. And I said we needed to check, and you just heard the schemo part.
There was another schemo part that I was referring to where she said that schemo turned me hat. That's the part I was talking about.
Well, why don't you go ahead and tell me why? And I say, you, Miss Moore, why?
I want to make sure, Your Honor.
What is prej-
Prejudicial.
prejudicial about what she says? I mean, I kind of get the point that, okay, she's not really emotionally damaged. I mean, that's the allegation. It's just all about retribution. Retribution. You
Retribution.
know, it's about retribution. You know, it's about revenge. What about that? God. Miss Moore?
Why are you calling me and I'm on doing it live?
Miss Moore, line 7.
Well, you were supposed to be judged, but you didn't come in.
Sylvia, mute. Your
Miss
Honor,
Moore.
under Rule 4.
She didn't say, wait a minute.
Your Honor, under Rule.
Okay, are we taking a pause?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was muted. Your Honor, under Rule 403 and 404, any suggestion that my client is in a gang, bury a block is a.
Wait a minute. What was the suggestion about the gang there? I didn't hear it.
Bury a block, Your Honor. I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I may not be talking about the same part of the video that you are right now with Olga. I want to make sure.
I'm just talking about the video. Was there a part of the video that referenced a gang?
Your Honor, the reference to bury a block,
That's a reference to violence, but not gang.
well, Your Honor, what I like to say is the defendants have pursued this entire case, citing that video as evidence that my client is in a gang. So I find it very disingenuous that they're in here today, number one. Number two, this references her counterclaims, which were dismissed on summary judgment.
That doesn't reference a counterclaim. What's in there that says about counterclaim?
That suggestion that she's going to kill Tasha, like I'm going to go to jail for my daughter.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Miss Moore, Miss Moore. Okay, so one of the things that Miss, what's her name?
Ismailova.
Ismailova pointed out when y'all were still listening was that this video was made before a lawsuit was ever filed. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know the date. What is the date of this lawsuit? I mean, the video.
December 2018.
When is the lawsuit filed?
March 21st.
Of 2019, right?
Yes.
So it couldn't have been referencing any kind of counterclaim because there was no counterclaim filed. There was no lawsuit filed, so the point I had before that has escaped me. But there's nothing in there that mentioned a gang, number one. Number two, there are no counterclaims pending. The jury knows about, does not know about any counterclaims. They won't know about any counterclaims by listening to this video. What they will know about is that the plaintiff was expressing frustration. They'll have to decide whether it was justified or not, and that she was expressing some general desire to beat up your client. I mean, beat up their client, beat up the defendant. They'll have to decide whether that was justified. Some people probably would think it is, some may not. I don't know. But I kind of understand the point that, you know, we're dealing with damages and liability. I mean, I don't know what the jury is going to do about liability. They could rule either way. If they rule in favor of the plaintiff in liability, then they still have the damages question. And they have to decide, has she really been emotionally distressed? Has she had depression and all of those things? And there may be other witnesses, but I know what we know right now, which is what the testimony is, the evidence on that is based right now on the credibility of your client. And if the juries were determined that she's really not emotionally distressed, she's just mad, then that doesn't kind of cut the legs out of the emotional distress claim in light of the lack of any other evidence at this point. So I'm assuming again that there's going to be more evidence, but still, I mean, it seems like it's something they can at least argue, and that her claim, her statements in there that seem to imply that she would like revenge is maybe relevant.
Your Honor, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I thought you were finished. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm done for now.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure I wasn't cutting you off, Your Honor. I think my concern, again, the entirety of this case, the defendants have taken the position in multiple papers before this court.
Wait a minute. This was my point I was trying to make earlier. The jury doesn't know about any of the any of the stuff. So let's deal with the here and now.
I am, Your Honor. Please hear me out.
The fact that they took the position she was in a gang is irrelevant. There is no allegation or testimony.
No, Your Honor, you're misunderstanding. My point is, they've taken the position in all of their papers that the statement bury a block is an explicit gang reference, not that she's in a gang. I'm making a different point, Your Honor. In all of their writings before the court, they said that bury a block is clearly a gang reference. So I am very pressed to understand for 2.5 years how they've taken the position in writing multiple times that that is so obvious that it's a gang reference that they could stand here and say it's not now. Respectfully, that is a gang reference. Olga?
If I may, Your Honor.
No, you may not. Not now. There are no claims in this case about gang affiliation. I would argue in my generation, Bury a Block is a mafia reference, not a gang reference. It may be a gang reference, but there have been plenty of people in areas where there's no formal mafia that have found themselves murdered in the bottom of a well, of wells and ponds and things like that. It's certainly a reference to violence. I get that. And that's sort of the defendant's point, that this lawsuit is about revenge as opposed to psychological harm, seems to me. So I think the plaintiffs are making way too much of it. Honestly, I mean, my argument would be to the jury that, heck, yeah, she was pissed off. She should have been pissed off if the stuff wasn't true, and particularly given the
Cavalier.
cavalier attitude that the defendant has taken about whether or not truth even matters and what she puts out there. That would make anybody mad. I mean, let's go back and think of the Michael Douglas movie. I can't remember the name of it. The one where he was a commuter and he was just mad at traffic and he just kind of lost it. You know, things can trigger a lot of emotions. Mess with someone's daughter. I don't have a daughter, but mess with someone's child generally, and parents can lose it. I'll tell you this, the most dangerous cases I've ever been involved in as a judge are divorce cases. When you start messing with custody issues with children, parents go crazy because that's all they can think about is their children. So I have to have a hard time telling them they can't use the references here that I saw, other than up to the part where schemo was discussed, because it arguably goes to their defense that this isn't about psychological harm. I mean, they've got a lot of defense, but to revenge, so I'm not going to prevent that from being played. And again, don't ask me to do things that could get you in trouble. If you win this case and they appeal, and I think that's one of the kind of things that would matter. I don't know that it would be controlling. I probably could exclude it, but I know it's the kind of thing that appellate judges look at when you start telling folks that evidence can't come in that is arguable relevant to that their case, and that's arguably relevant to the positions they've taken, not the gang positions, but the real motivation of the lawsuit that's filed. So I'm going to let them play that, but not up into the, not past the schemo part, not up to the schemo part. Olga?
What page are we on? I'm sorry. I was talking to somebody. Sorry. What page?
187 line 3.
Line 3. I apologize, everybody.
187 line 3.
I'm sorry, guys. I want to cut off as soon as she say I'm hating because I hate being famous because I can't put my hands on people. Then just cut it off right there. Just like several seconds before she mentioned his name.
That's actually arguable for the you can spin that. That's actually favorable to the plaintiff. She does what she should do, what people should do. They come to court and ask judges and juries to intervene and not take matters into their own hands. That's my perspective of it. So I'm going to let them play that. I'm going to admit that document over the objection of the plaintiff, and I don't remember, was it one?
Olga.
I'm sorry. It was Defendant Exhibit 1, Your Honor.
Okay, let's call the jury back, please.
Your Honor, may I say one thing before you do, please, Your Honor?
Sure.
I would just expect that Ms. Esmalova's questioning will not try to backdoor into any gang reference.
Well, I mean, she knows that she's not supposed to go there. It could cause a mistrial if it does go there, and that would necessarily entertain Rule 11 sanctions. So I hope she understands she can't.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, guys, we're gonna take a switch a minute because the judge, another judge is coming in.
Okay.
All right, because you said you
The other
wanted to.
judge is coming?
She's here now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Page 188, Judge. Line 1. We're at line 1. Okay, sorry, guys. Guys, we have a new judge. Mel is our new judge.
What page are we on?
188.
Line 2. I said line 1.
I don't know. She may not caught up with us yet. But go ahead on to All Rise.
All rise. Whereupon the jurors enter the courtroom, please be seated and come to order.
1 second. Guys, we're going to take a break for a minute. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm muted. All right, guys. My apologies. We were switching out the judge, and we're ready now. I apologize, everyone. All right, let's roll them.
You want me to do it again?
Yes, please.
All rise. Whereupon the jurors enter the courtroom. Please be seated and come to order.
Judge?
Okay, so the judge is here, but that line isn't right.
Line 7, where it says the court.
188 lines.
Okay, I'm sorry. 188 or 184?
188.
All right, thank you. I said 183 on the thing. My apologies.
It's okay.
Line 4.
97.
Line 7. Okay, all right. All right, thank you. I apologize for the break that we had. Defendant has moved Defendant's Exhibit 1. The plaintiff has objected. Now, the court has sustained the objection in part to a small part of the video. The rest is admitted over the objection of the plaintiff, and you can play the part other than the part that we have that I have ruled is inadmissible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Court deputy?
Defendant's Exhibit 1 was marked for the purpose of identification and admitted into evidence, and a video recording was played.
Is that you on the video, Miss Almazar?
Yes.
And when you referred to that blogger, are you speaking of Miss Kibi, my client?
Yes.
And when you say I'm going to take all your effing bread, are you referring, is that like slang term for saying I'm going to take all your money?
It means I'm going to sue you. Yes.
But is bread a slang for term for money?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Do you know somebody by the name of Remy Roja?
Yes.
I would like to show Miss Almazar Exhibit 106 just for identification purposes.
What's the number?
106, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are you able to see that on the screen, or would you like that to be bigger?
No, I can't.
You can't see it?
You might need to make it bigger if it's possible. Can you enlarge it?
Are you able to see that better?
Yes.
Do you recognize what this depicts?
Uh-huh.
Can you tell me what that is?
Excuse me?
Can you tell me what that document depicts?
That is me and Remy Roja, which I was cool with at the time, talking about Tasha K because Tasha K claimed that somebody I know, her, is a crackhead.
But do you so you remember having this conversation with Remy Roja?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to move Defendant Exhibit 106 into evidence.
Any objection to 106?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, 106 is admitted without objection.
Defendant's Exhibit 106 was marked for the purpose of identification and admitted into evidence.
And in this conversation you were having, did you write, quote, I will kill Tasha K? Yo, I'm sick of that woman.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, may I confer with counsel for 1 second?
Sure.
A brief pause.
Just one or two more questions, Your Honor. Ms. Almazar, yesterday, when my client was testifying, you were sitting here. Obviously, you were watching her testify, correct?
Uh-huh.
Do you recall when you, towards the end of her testimony, when you started hitting your hand with a fist, you took your jacket off and your attorney had to calm you down? Do you remember that?
Yes, but I had took my jacket off. It was hot. It was hot in here.
Do you recall saying something to my client as she was walking past you?
No, I didn't tell her anything.
You didn't? Your attorney didn't have to calm you down.
Yes, my attorney had to calm me down.
Okay, thank you. No further question at this time, Your Honor.
Any redirect, Miss Moore?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, could we have a short break?
Sure. We'll take, well, we didn't break while y'all were out. We were in here talking and watching the video. So we'll take a short break for anyone to go to the restroom. We'll come back and we'll go until this witness is finished or 5 o'clock, whichever's first. Okay. Thank you.
All rise. Whereupon the jurors exit the courtroom.
Please be back here by 4 o'clock.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Brief recess. All rise. The Honorable Court is again in session.
Miss Moore, you're ready to begin?
Yes, Your Honor.
All rise. Whereupon the jurors enter the courtroom. Please be seated and come to order.
You can begin.
Cardi, have you ever rapped about cheating on Offset?
No,
Have you ever rapped that you put a beer bottle in your vagina?
no,
Have you ever rapped that you've done cocaine?
no,
Have you ever rapped that you have herpes?
no,
Have you ever rapped that you have HPV?
no,
Cardi, have you done cocaine?
no,
Have you done crack cocaine?
no,
Have you done DMT?
no,
Have you done heroin?
no,
Have you done inhalants?
no,
Have you done ketamine?
no,
Have you done LSD?
no,
Have you done peyote?
no,
Have you done methamphetamine?
no.
Have you done opioids?
What?
Prescription opioids.
When I needed, yes.
When they're prescribed by your doctor?
Yeah, prescribed.
Have you done salvia?
No.
Oxycontin?
When I was prescribed, yes.
When you were prescribed by your doctor, correct?
Yes.
Bath salts. Have you done bath salts?
No.
PCP?
No.
Speed?
No.
Whippets?
No.
Shrooms?
No.
So it isn't true that you do all the other drugs.
No.
Cardi, can you explain for the jury the circumstances when you did Molly?
Okay. So when I did Molly, I didn't voluntarily did Molly. And even though I don't do it regularly, I feel like this was an important part of my life story. When I was 20, I met a young man. He was really cute. He was very smart, persuasive, and everything. And I went to the club with him. I went to hang out with him, and I was drinking Hennessy. I remember it was like my first shot of Hennessy. I feel good. Then I'm drinking Hennessy again, but this time that I'm drinking it, I feel extremely, extremely aroused. I feel extremely aroused. I feel like I was flying. I felt very aroused. And I'm like asking the guy, like literally almost like moaning in the club and breathing hard, like you put something, like, oh, on my drink or something. And he was laughing. He was like, I put a little Molly in it. You good? And I felt good at the moment. I felt really good at the moment. And of course, we went home and everything. But I'll say about 4 days straight, I couldn't sleep. I felt wired. I felt like, why am I not going to sleep? Why am I had like, I just didn't like the feeling that it gave me. So I just never did it again. Like, but I did experience. It was an experience that I had with it. I practically tasted it, so I know what it is. So I'm never going to say that I never did it, but I never did it regularly or anything. It was a one-time experience.
You didn't do it voluntarily.
No.
Cardi, why did you not sue Azalea Banks?
I didn't sue Azalea Banks because she didn't say that I have herpes. And on top of that, Azalea Banks have apologized to me.
Cardi, the screenshot of the messages you saw where you said, I want to kill Tasha K. Were you speaking literally or figuratively?
I was speaking figuratively. Sorry, I was I was speaking. I've been really upset because actually the video that the defendant lawyers played, it was literally me talking about how she was harassing my friends, and that was the girl that she was harassing and making accusations, and she did crack, and I was just really upset because this is something that continues, and if it's not me, it's going to be somebody that I'm close with. So, of course, like it just doesn't. Who wouldn't be upset? Like, who wouldn't say figuratively, "Oh my God, I want to kill this person. I want to kill this bitch." Like, I'm so tired of it. Of course, like I'm emotionally stressed because of it. Like, I have anger, I have depression, I have so many different feelings, negative feelings about everything that she had been doing.
Cardi, when defense counsel asked you a few moments ago about when you got upset during the Baby Bird video, that's the 18-minute video.
Yes.
Where was Tasha K sitting when you got emotional and I touched your arm?
She was right here.
She was on the witness stand, correct?
Yes.
She was not walking in front of our table, was she?
No.
So what Miss Ismailova said is incorrect.
Yes.
No more questions.
Ms. Mbaloa, any further cross on the issues brought up on redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All
A
right.
brief pause. Oh,
No, Your Honor.
All right.
If you'll give me one moment.
Oh, if you give me one moment. No, Your Honor.
All right. Ma'am, you can step down. You can step down. I'm assuming this is the last witness that the plaintiff has here today based on our conversation yesterday. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end for the week at this point. I really don't have a forecast for you about the length of the trial. I just haven't had a chance to talk to the lawyers about that. At the very least, though, I do think you need to plan to be with us next week. I want to remind you, we will not be meeting tomorrow. We will also not be meeting on Monday because it's a holiday, and we'll return Monday morning. The parties and counsel are instructed to be back in the courtroom at 9 o'clock for a conference if needed. And I'm going to ask if you would return by 9:30 on Tuesday. And we talked a little bit about whether there might be some inclement weather over the weekend, and it looks like there is likely to be some. I don't think it will be a problem on Tuesday morning, but if it were to be, then I could have Miss Laundrie, my judicial assistant, or Miss Lee, the courtroom deputy here, text you. We've got your phone numbers, I think, for everybody, and we'll probably use texting as a way to contact you first. And so if we contact you and tell you not to come, we're not going to contact you and tell you to come. The first communication would be not to come. If you would please respond to the text so that we know you've received it. I guess if we don't hear from you, then we'll probably try to reach you in another way. But once we know that you know, then we will, we can't quit worrying that you didn't get the message. The same rules over the weekend. It's a long weekend, as would normally exist about not reading anything about the case or searching for anything on the internet. And when the case is over with you, one thing that we know about the internet is that if it was put on the internet, it's probably going to stay on the internet. And so anything you might have missed, you can go back and read about, but just not before then. And obviously, the juror who unfortunately, we had to excuse today is a good example about how important we take that you decide the case based on what you hear in this courtroom and from no other location. And of course, that you not talk about it with anyone, including yourselves. So, have any questions from any of you that you want to ask me that you've been dying to ask, not about the case itself, but about procedures? Otherwise, I appreciate your time this week and leave your notes in the jury deliberation room. And we'll see you on Tuesday morning at 9:30.
All rise. The jurors exit the courtroom.
Okay, the door is closed. Y'all have a seat for just a moment. Let me get a little bit of indication about where we are as far as the progress of the case. How many more days and or witnesses does the plaintiff expect to have?
I believe we only have one more witness, Your Honor, and I don't know exactly how long it will be, but I would imagine we will be done by the end of Tuesday for sure. And it may be that cross can be completed by the end of Tuesday as well.
The cross? I'm sorry?
I'm talking about their cross. It's not going to be a super long witness from our perspective. I think it will probably,
Oh, their cross of your witness. I see.
yeah, I think it will probably be half a day on our part, and then I don't know how long they'll need.
Okay. Okay. From that perspective, I think that the defendant needs to be prepared to start with your own witnesses. I mean, you obviously have Mr. and Mrs. Keeby to present again if you wish. How many days, once the case is given to the defendant, would you estimate at this point in time?
Between 2 and 3, Your Honor. I would probably be maybe potentially 3, only because some of the videos are a little bit long, and we do intend to introduce into evidence, but we would try to go as quickly as possible.
Okay. And then we've got your, I'm guessing, I haven't heard otherwise. Do we have both sides jury instructions?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Okay. We'll be working on those. We would have a charge conference after all the evidence is in, probably not before then. And I would, for the most part, just tell you what I'm going to give based on what you've submitted. And I don't know how similar they are. I will tell you, and I probably should have mentioned this earlier if I didn't, that I'm going to use the 11th Circuit pattern instructions and the Council of Superior Court Judges of Georgia's pattern instructions primarily. There's probably no real unique item of law that's not covered. There could be a few things, maybe a few evidentiary things, but most of it's going to be covered in the pattern. And I'm not going to stray much from that because while there is no guarantee that the appellate courts might not later decide that a pattern was wrong, they've had an opportunity to have input in all of the patterns before they were created. So this is always the safest way to go. May have been one thing I wanted to tell you. Can't think of it now, so it must not be too important.
Your Honor, just you're aware, we did submit a joint, and the ones that each side objected to is noted within the submission.
All right. Anything else that we need to talk about before Tuesday?
Not from the defense, Your Honor.
Anything else from the plaintiff?
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
Oh, I remember the other thing. So I have a criminal case on next Thursday afternoon that we're going to try to schedule for a plea at 4:00. It's just a case. Are you able to, does that fit? It's just something I need to do. If I don't do it now, I might not be able to do it until March because of some time issues. And so there may be one day where we end prematurely early so I can get to that. As it relates to the jury deliberations, we may get there next week. We may not get there next week. I I don't intend to have the jury deliberate over the weekend. I don't intend for them to deliberate anything other than regular business hours. And so, it may be that they need to come back the following week, even if we get it to them by Friday, for example. Friday seems like a possible but not guaranteed.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm sorry. What is the court's rule on when, during deliberation, does counsel have to be inside the building, or what is the discretion on that?
Well, yeah, because you got to be close. So if I get questions, I have to deal with questions with your presence and with your input. So you'll need to be in the building.
Oh my.
You don't have to be in the courtroom. I'm also going to give the jury the option of using the jury deliberation. Using the courtroom to deliberate if they want, which would mean we would be outside the courtroom. I don't sense that they're going to take it. I think they probably would take the jury deliberation room, and the deliberation room that I have is not quite as big as the one next door, which is a little bit more modern. So they may actually choose that. But given that nobody has had a COVID issue concern, my guess is they're going to choose probably to be in the back. And you had something else?
Yeah, just a small scheduling thing, which may or may not be an issue, but I figured I would just raise it. I have a court-ordered mediation on the 25th, which is actually on California time. It doesn't start until 4 p.m., so
On California time, 4 p.m. here?
4 p.m. Eastern. It starts at 1 p.m. California time. So I would just ask that if we're still on that day, I might need to break a little early. I apologize. This was scheduled before we had moved the trial a little bit. I just didn't think there was any way we'd be going this far.
And what's that date again?
The 25th. So we're talking about Tuesday after next week.
I'll think about it. I'm less concerned about your clients in a case in California than I am in the case I have and the jury I have. So I don't know.
Well,
I can't promise you. Under any rules of conflict that I've ever seen, when people are on trial, that takes precedence over something else. And so you may be able to do it. You may not be able to do it. If I've got a jury that's close to getting a verdict, I can't tell them that they've got to go home, come back another day when they may be over.
yeah, no, I was thinking it was very close to the end of the day. And if we go that long, I can also see what I can do about moving it. Only because it's court ordered. I just wanted to raise it. That's all.
Court ordered? Court ordered? And what court is this in?
It's in the Central District of California, but I can talk to opposing counsel about moving it if we're getting that far. I just wanted to make the court aware of the potential for it sooner rather than later. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. All right. We'll see y'all on Tuesday morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge. All right, guys. Woo! We finished. All right, so we're going to take
All rise. Court stands in recess, whereupon the jurors, the proceeding is adjourned at 4:20 p.m. and scene. Now we're done.
Guys, thank you, everybody. Look, we have Miss Dr. Sherry Blake. She's been waiting all this time so she could do her reading. Hello, Elena.
Hello, how y'all doing?
Hello.
Hey.
So wonderful.
Am I loud enough?
Thank you. Yeah, we hear you. You're very loud.
Okay, good.
So thank you for it. So guys, do you want to take a 5-second break, or you guys want to keep rolling?
I don't have the...
Okay, I'm going to send it to you guys right now. All right, I'm going to play some music. Ladies and gentlemen.
And then I'm done, right? Like
You're done. Thank you, Cardi. Woo!
Yay, Cardi. Woo,
Yay.
woo.
Thank you, Cardi. I appreciate you.
No, thank you, ladies, so much. This has been super fun.
You've
are the
been
bomb.
great. You have
Hey,
been
Cardi,
great.
how did she play? How well did she play you? Cardi's in the chat, y'all.
I hope she liked it, Cardi. I love you. I have so much love for you. I love your music. So I hope I did a good job.
You did an awesome job.
Yes, you did. You did awesome. You did awesome.
And
See,
I see where you were talking about where she tried to say how with all those witnesses, how in the world was she trying to imply that Cardi was like bucking at her? Like
see, I
what?
told y'all. I told y'all. I told y'all. I told you. And then her lawyer had the nerve to even ask that while she was on a witness stand. That was like crazy.
Wow. And she didn't bring that up again.
Mm-mm. Nope, she didn't.
Well,
Hey,
that was a
Miss
very
Ford.
well-deserved win for Cardi.
Yeah, you guys, I see she deserved that win, didn't she?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, let me see. Mel, can you stay, or did you have to go as well?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Okay, good. All right, all right. But thank you so much, Diana. I appreciate you so much.
No, you're welcome. Thank you, ladies. I hope everyone has a great night. I'm gonna put my handle on the chat so we can all
Yes,
connect.
yes,
And hopefully, I'll speak with you ladies in the future at some point. But have a great night, and thanks again for letting me be a part of this.
definitely, definitely.
And much love to Cardi B. Cardi B, I have some songs for you, so let me know when you have some time to chat.
Diana, did you see that message right there? It says Diana could do a Cardi B voiceover.
I would love that. I would love that.
All right, great job, guys. Cardi, she did a great job, didn't she, Cardi? All right. Let me just, guys. I'm gonna talk to you guys on a chat, private chat, while I play some music. Okay.
Okay.
right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the time of your waiting. And now we get ready to start off with our next day, which is January the 18th. This is when Cardi's doctor came to the witness stand. Now you're going to hear the things that Cardi went through from the point of her doctor, okay? We will have our court deputy again, played by Miss Power.
Give me
Hey.
2 seconds.
Okay. And then now we're going to have our judge, Judge Ray, played by our Melly Mel. Hey, Mel.
Give me 2 seconds. Now I'm playing. I'm here. I'm ready.
Okay. And
What day are we reading?
the 18th. The one I just sent you.
What'd you say?
The one I just sent you.
Oh, God. No, that's not. Oh.
Okay, let me resend it to you. My apologies.
No. I probably got it, but I didn't pull it up, so it's going to take a minute.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
That was what the break was for. Okay, I'm resending it to you, Power. Okay, there it is. All right. Our next is our attorney for Cardi's attorneys, Miss Moore, played by Miss Purple Couch. Hello.
Hey, hey.
Somebody's thing is playing. Hold on. Okay. Miss Court Reporter, you probably have to turn your YouTube down in the background, okay? All right. Now we have a celebrity on the line, Miss Alana. I'm sorry, I'm messing up the name. She's playing Miss Dr. Blake. Hello, Ilana.
Hello, dear.
How you
Thank you,
doing?
thank you, thank you.
And thank you for your patience. You've been patiently waiting throughout this whole reading. I did send you the copy so you could read along with us.
I
Did
was
you get
following
it?
along because I jumped on about 5:15, so I just jumped on, and then when you sent it to me, I followed.
Okay, great.
Okay, I got it.
All right, guys, we're ready. Let's roll it. Line 5, line 6. All right, I'm gonna put some music on.
Deputy.
Are we ready?
We're waiting on you.
All right. Tuesday morning session, January the 18th, 2020, 9 a.m. Proceeding. All rise. United States District Court for Northern District of Georgia, Atlanta Division is now in session. The Honorable Judge William M. Ray II presiding. Please be seated and come to order.
Thank you. Good morning. Is everybody ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Yes, sir.
All rise, whereupon the jurors enter the courtroom. Please be seated and come to order.
Good morning.
Hold on, yeah. Hold on 1 second. Hey, Lisa, look who's here. The attorney is here, y'all. Hi.
Hey. Oh no, I have to do her well. Oh my goodness.
Thank
Am
you
I the
for
only one
stopping
hearing
by,
about
Lisa.
when everyone speaks?
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I had to interrupt. Sorry, guys.
All right. Good morning. The plaintiff can call her next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Plaintiff calls Dr. Sherry Blake.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Blake. Are you vaccinated, ma'am?
Yes.
All right. If you could remove your mask while you testify, and the clerk will administer an oath to you, please.
Deputy.
Sorry, I was
It's
muted.
vibrating.
Please, I was reading and I was muted. Please raise your right hand. Sherry L. Blake, PhD, herein having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as following. Thank you.
Good morning, Dr. Blake.
Good morning. Good
Would
morning.
you please state your full name?
Dr. Sherry L. Blake.
It sounds like she's underwater. I couldn't really hear.
Yeah, your mic sound. You're like you're underwater, Sherry.
Okay, well, it sounds like a vibration. Can y'all hear me clear? Because everyone sounds like a vibration.
Yeah, you probably need to come out and come back in. I'm sorry. Technical difficulty, guys. I apologize.
Okay.
Try it now. Let's see.
Okay, I'm back in.
Perfect. Perfect.
Oh, that sounds so good. Thank you, Jesus.
Yes. Would you please state your full name?
Dr. Sherry L. Blake.
And Dr. Blake, what is your profession?
I am a clinical psychologist.
Do you have a specialty within clinical psychology?
I do. I specialize in, as a clinical psychologist, I work with issues in a lot of different areas of expertise.
Where were you born, Dr. Blake?
I'm sorry.
Where were you born?
Nashville, Tennessee.
So you grew up in Nashville.
Yes.
Is that where you went to high school?
No. I went to high school in a little small town called Mount Juliet, Tennessee.
Where did you go to undergrad?
Tennessee State University.
And what did you study when you were at Tennessee State University?
Psychology.
And do you recall what year you graduated from Tennessee State?
1979.
And what was your degree?
A Bachelor of Science degree.
Do you have a master's degree?
I do.
And where did you receive that from?
From Vanderbilt University
And what was that master's degree in?
in psychology.
And do you recall when you received your master's degree?
In 1983.
Do you have a PhD?
I do.
And where did you receive your PhD from?
I also received my PhD at Vanderbilt University.
And what was your doctorate in there that you received?
I received a doctorate of psychology degree in clinical psychology in 1985.
Did you do any postdoctorate work?
Yes.
And what was that?
I did postdoctoral work in a program that was a combination of University of Georgia and Georgia State University, and the postdoctoral work was in neuropharmacology and psychopharmacology.
And can you describe some of the courses you took in that postdoctorate work?
There was a lot of classes. A lot of the classes was around neuropsychology, neuroanatomy. I took classes to understand medication, a lot of pharmaceutical work, as well as behavioral, how that impacted behavior.
And can you describe your areas of expertise within clinical psychology?
Yes, I have several areas of expertise. Clinical intervention, clinical crisis intervention. I do assessments, psychological assessment, which includes psychology assessment, neuropsych assessments, assessments for learning disabilities, and any issues along that line. I also do therapy, individual, family, and group therapy. Also have area expertise in trauma as well as work in terms of I do public speaking. I do mental health. I'm considered a mental health expert, but I also do media consultation. I do content development. In addition to content development regarding psychology, I do work in terms of just understanding the area of psychology in different settings, including some therapeutic coaching as well as, again, public speaking on the matter.
I think the first thing you mentioned was clinical intervention. Can you describe what that is?
When there are emotional issues or there's emotional concerns, as a clinical interventionist, what I do is assess what the problem is, decide what the need for treatment is.
And what about crisis intervention? You mentioned crisis intervention.
Crisis intervention, similar, except usually there's a crisis. And when you do a crisis intervention, you're trying to, again, once you assess the crisis, the best route to resolve the crisis, and you implement a treatment plan.
And you also mentioned psychological assessment. Can you describe that further, please?
Psychological assessment is a process that you do for diagnosing the treatment. I was trained on all the basics and some of the advanced. A lot of the advanced instruments of psychological testing, everything from intellectual ability to educational ability and neurological deficits. And neurological deficits include those deficits which the brain, given my postdoctoral degree, I also looked at how medication or other things may impact behavior.
And I believe you also mentioned trauma related issues. Could you explain on that? Expand on that, please.
Yes, with trauma related issues, I've worked in terms of trying to help people understand trauma, how to help them understand the impact of trauma. I worked in terms of a program in Texas where I developed to look at trauma after Hurricane Harvey.
And what were you doing? Was that Hurricane Katrina?
I worked with victims of Trina, but I developed a program for Hurricane Harvey after Hurricane Harvey.
And can you describe that program a little more, please?
The program was in trauma and resiliency, helping victims reestablish their life in a sense of understanding because many victims were displaced for years. The loss of their homes, the loss of their families, they was just really traumatized. So I helped them work through that. And what I did with that is develop a program that I train teachers and families to help work, especially with children, through that.
And you also mentioned individual, marital, and group therapy. Could you elaborate on that, please?
I do a lot of marital therapy and group therapy. Marital therapy, I do premarital therapy as well as marriage therapy. Where couples have problems, they have conflict. I help resolve that and understand what issues are with that.
And you also mentioned that you do a lot of public speaking.
I do.
On what topics?
Anything to do with mental health. In my specialty, I do a lot of work with self care, a lot of work with women in transition, a lot of work in terms of speaking about reducing mental health stigma, understanding mental health, especially in the African American and other undeserved communities. Also, grief and anything related to depression, grief, death, and dying. I speak a lot on that.
Do you ever speak on anxiety?
I do.
Do you speak on trauma?
Absolutely. That's all a part of it.
And you also mentioned that you serve as a media consultant. Could you describe that, please?
As a media consultant, I serve in terms of reviewing programs to see the psychological content and the appropriateness of it. I work in terms of just understanding how psychology is presented in the media as well.
And I think you mentioned therapeutic coaching. Could you describe what that is, please?
Therapeutic coaching is working with people towards being goal oriented, trying to resolve issues where they may be stuck and trying to work through those. That's different from therapy. And that therapy is working with emotional healing.
And I think lastly, you mentioned content creation. What type of content are you creating?
I write a lot of content for AARP. With AARP, I write content in terms of psychology. I do a lot of their presentations for AARP, but I also have produced videos and things to help the public understand depression, anxiety, and other issues. And again, especially for the minority communities.
Dr. Blake, I think you've testified that you got your PhD in 1985. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you board certified?
No, I'm not board certified. That's not necessary in this field.
Do you have any professional credentials?
I do. My credentials include, of course, my PhD, but also I am a licensed clinical psychologist. I've been licensed since 1988. Also, I'm a part of a national registry for psychologists, health professionals of psychology.
Have you been practicing clinical psychology continuously since 1988?
I have.
How many hours of clinical experience do you have?
Now I'm beginning to tell my age, but I have over 100 hours, over 30 years of experience.
100,000. Oh.
hmm
Have you received any honors or awards for your work?
I have.
Could you tell us what some of those are?
For my work with Harvey victims, the Hurricane Harvey victims, I received the congressional recognition by the Congressman Sheila Jackson Lee. I think it's Sheila Jackson Lee in Houston, Texas, for my work with that. I also received honors and recognitions from the Georgia Black Legislation, the Black Caucus, Georgia Legislative Black Caucus for my work in mental health. I received an honor from the Georgia House of Representatives for my work in terms of mental health and the things I do for the community. In addition to that, I received the Shining Star Award. The Shining Star Award for Nobel. Nobel is a national organization for elected Black legislators. That was a big honor. And that was with my work again with mental health. In addition to that, I received the Rice Award, which is Rising, which stands for Rising in Excellence and Community Excellence. Rising in Community Excellence. And another honor that I did receive was the Practitioner of the Year Award from Control Magazine
Where were you living, Dr. Blake, when you started practicing in 1988?
in Atlanta.
And where were you practicing?
I started practicing in first, I was working at Ridgeview Institute. Ridgeview Institute is a psychiatric institute. It's been around for a long time. I think it's still working with people. I work there providing psychological services to children, adolescents, and their families.
How long were you at Ridgeview Institute?
Approximately 3 to 4 years.
Was that doing inpatient work or
That was doing inpatient work, and I did some follow up with outpatients for some of the patient, but mostly inpatient.
so when you left Ridgeview, where were you practicing after that?
After leaving Ridgeview, I started private practice, and I started private practice at Ramsey and Associates. I provided psychological services, which included psychological assessments, different types of assessments, assessments for learning disabilities, assessments for psychological personality type issues, also providing therapy in terms of individual, family, marital therapy, and those services was all provided as part of an outpatient program. In addition to outpatient with Ramsey and Associates, I did do inpatient work where I would go to hospitals and do psychological assessments.
Which hospitals did you do that at?
At the time, I was doing Ridgeview. I was doing Charter Peachboro Hospital, all the primary hospitals, including Crescent Pines. There were a combination of hospitals that I would go to provide treatment.
And how long were you in private practice at Ramy and Associates?
Ramey and Associates for several years. It was over 10 years.
All right. And where were you practicing after Ramy and Associates?
After Raymond Associates, I started practicing in Touchstone. Touchstone Psychological, which was also an outpatient program where we did, it was outpatient practice, so I did a lot of work. Primarily the same work that was done at Ramsey and Associates, but the model had changed, so we changed. Things change.
And how long were you at Touchstone, Dr. Blake?
Again, approximately 6, 7 years.
And after Touchstone, where were you in practice then?
Quarters, Cornerstone Psychological Service.
And can you describe the work you were doing at Cornerstone, please?
In addition to the basic services with Cornerstone, I was doing more and more work in the community in terms of reducing mental health stigma. I continued to do the therapy, the psychological assessments, also just making the community aware of things. Also, the while I was at the Cornerstone, I did a lot of government contracts. I did state and federal contracts where I worked in terms of the Department of Defense. And with the Department of Defense, I worked in terms of looking at individuals to assess their appropriateness to be in the military. So if anybody had a problem where they were questioning if they could go into the military, they was sent to me and I did an assessment. Also worked in terms of doing therapy for the VA hospital. Working there, I was able to do a lot of assessments looking at issues regarding people that had been in the military service. I also worked with their families. In addition to the VA hospital, I did work in terms of Department of Labor, the Department of Labor vocational rehabilitation. With those again, most of it was assessments and looking at the appropriateness in terms of their ability to go back to work or their ability to just transition into the community.
Were you doing any work with DFACS at that time?
I also did a lot of work with DFACS.
And could you describe that work and also what DFACS is, please?
Department of Family and Children's Services. I did a lot of assessments for the Department of Family and Children's Services, mostly parental fitness. Once a child was removed from the home, I had to assess to see if it was appropriate for the child to go back, looking at the psychological status of that parent. Also, with that, there were times I did individual therapy or family therapy that was separate from their assessments.
How long, Dr. Blake, were you at Cornerstone?
I'm sorry.
How long were you at Cornerstone? How long were you practicing at Cornerstone?
Cornerstone has been open for years. In fact, it's still open in terms of providing traditional services, but I no longer work there.
During that time, were you also providing psychological services to any athletic leagues?
I'm sorry.
Were you providing any services to any athletic leagues?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry. Part of what I did for Cornerstone, that was part of me transition out. I worked for the NFL. I was the Southeastern Regional Psychologist for the NFL for approximately 4 years. And what I did is I worked with all of the players from Texas to North Carolina, from Tennessee down to the tip of Florida. Anytime the players got into trouble, any issues emerged, I was the person they sent them to for an assessment. I also did consultation with them.
Dr. Blake, where are you practicing now today?
Dr. Sherry Enterprise.
Is that your company?
It is.
And could you describe what types of services you're furnishing under Dr. Sherry Enterprise?
Dr. Sherry Enterprise, the model is a little different. I've worked a lot with high profile clients that have demanding schedules that cannot do traditional weekly therapy or bi-weekly therapy because of what they do. A lot of the work is focused on sports and entertainers. I work a lot in the terms of just providing different types of services, more of a concierge than, type service.
Do you also work with non celebrities?
Absolutely. In my work with non-celebrities, and I call them non-celebrities, but they all have high profile jobs, a lot of pressure. They're doing a lot and have hard time. Again, being in a traditional type setting for therapy.
Dr. Blake, have you written any books?
I've written two. The first book I wrote was called The Single Married Woman. That book That's about a woman that do too much. And many of us know women that do too much. They be married, but they feel like they're single because of all the work they do. And the second book was I'm sorry,
I was just going to ask, what year did you write that first book, The Single Married Woman?
The Single Married Woman was written in 2014, 13 or 14.
And I'm sorry for interrupting you. What was the second book?
I'm sorry. Care for the Caregiver. That is a book. It's called Care for the Caregiver: Surviving the Emotional Stress, the emotional roller coaster of caregiving. And this is a book. I have worked a lot with people that were caring for loved ones and was really stressed. And I had to put together a survivor manual. And that book emerged after my own personal work with my parents. I was the caregiver for both of my parents until they died in 2016. And the stress of all of that really helped me put together a book to help others so they don't have to go through that level of stress.
Are you featured in any magazines?
I am. I'm featured in Essence Magazine. Essence Magazine, I used to write a column. I wrote a column for Essence Magazine for many years. And not only did I write the column for Essence Magazine, I also presented at their music festival, which is their largest event of the year. In addition to the Essence Magazine, I also wrote articles as needed for other journals as well. But a lot of the work I'm writing is right now for the sister magazine, which is part of the AARP.
And AARP stands for?
American, I also have to think about it. American Association of Retired Persons. I should remember that one.
And you mentioned earlier, Dr. Blake, that you do a lot of presentations
I do.
and lectures. Can you tell us more about what you're speaking on?
Mostly mental health issues, and those issues are related to depression, to anxiety, to self-care, to issues regarding basic issues regarding transition. When when I say life transitions, I don't care if it's life transition about women about to get married, women about to get divorced, children leaving the home, children coming home. And one of the topics I'm working on now is there's a whole concern now where people are, women especially, are fearful of growing old alone. And that's part of some of the writings I'm doing and some of the things I'm doing a presentation on, because what we find is a lot of successful women find themselves divorced or they find themselves widowed and they're really fearful of growing old alone.
Do you also speak on mental health stigma?
I do a complete work of mental health stigma. I've been doing that for years, especially in African American community. Once, often we're the most undeserved community. And with that, that's a real concern because the need is great.
Do you have any additional professional training?
Every 2 years, I had to have 40 hours of continuing education to maintain the license. And so I do a lot of continuing education work.
What about volunteer work? Do you volunteer?
I do. I do a lot of volunteer work. Not only do I volunteer in terms of I'm a board member of the Girls Incorporated Metropolitan Atlanta, where we service young girls that have difficulty upbringings, and we're trying to help them become leaders and become emotionally stable and provide some basic needs. But I also do a lot of work in faith-based institutions, faith-based settings. I do a lot of things in terms of trying to help clergy, help people in the church understand mental health. I found that mental health, ugh, the church is one of the first places people run to. And when there is a crisis, but a lot of times, although the churches are great with spiritual guidance, but understanding psychological issues has always been a problem, at least in the African American church. So I work a lot in terms of receiving information, doing workshops with people, and helping them. This all volunteer. I work a lot with the women too within the church.
Do you serve on any other boards?
I serve. I have served on. I've been a president of the Mental Health Association of Atlanta. I was president and I was also the board member. Like, as I stated previously, I am a current board member of the Girls Incorporated.
What is the Mental Health Association of Metropolitan Atlanta?
Mental Health Association of Metropolitan Atlanta is an organization that services all of the mental health needs of the region. And what it does is provide information, it provides service. You can call mental health and get their service line and get directions for different things where it's a crisis line. How do you do this? I was a president, and part of that is dealing with suicide, dealing with depression, dealing with all of those issues that impact your health, mental health.
So you've testified, Dr. Blake, that you've been working continuously as 88. Is that correct?
Yes,
And if I have my math right, is that 34 years?
long time, approximately 34 years. Yes,
How many days a week do you perform clinical work?
4 to 7 days, depending on my schedule.
Are you considered an expert in mental health?
Yes,
Have you appeared or been featured as a mental health expert on any television programs?
I have CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC. I've been featured on most affiliates.
Any radio programming?
Lots of radio programming, including the lots of syndicated programs. Again, speaking about mental health,
How do you know my client?
your client was referred to me by her management team.
And when did they reach out to you, the management team?
2018.
And what did they tell you at that time when they reached out to you?
At that time, she was referred. They wasn't clear what was going on. They were very concerned about her emotional functioning, but they didn't know what was happening. And it was a crisis, and they had asked me to come to New York.
When in 2018 was that they reached out to you?
They reached out a few days before November the 1st because I went to New York on November the 1st. And when I was there from the time they called, it was less than 72 hours.
Do you recall the date that you traveled to New York?
Arrived on November the 1st
And when did your initial session with Cardi take place?
as soon as I landed.
Where did that session take place?
That session took place in a hotel in New York in the hotel suite.
Were you in New York City?
Yes,
In Manhattan?
New York City, Manhattan.
Dr. Blake, based on your education, training, and professional experience, what did you observe in this first session with Cardi in New York?
When I first arrived and started talking to her, I was able to establish a rapport, but what I observed is that she was very lethargic and had very little energy. There was fear, a lot of depressive symptoms, such as she was very tearful. Had explained to me she had just lost interest. She was sleeping a lot. In fact, the day that I initially saw her, she was in bed. She was laying across the bed, and laying across the bed, she talked about not knowing what she was going to do, not having any interest in doing anything. She had lost her appetite. She wasn't eating. And she wasn't sleeping as much as possible.
Did she seem anxious?
She was quite anxious. She was quite worried. And the anxiety that I saw came out in terms of not only was she saying, but how she was saying it. And she constantly was checking her phone, with social media, and that she was talking about all of the negative things that was happening at the time.
And when you said she lost interest in doing things, could you elaborate?
She had been in bed for several days. She reported that she hadn't been out of bed for several days. She didn't want to do anything. She didn't want to go to work. She was crying. Like I said, she was quite tearful. Her effect was flat, meaning there was not a lot of factual expressions as she talked. She was emotionally exhausted.
Did she seem agitated?
Yes, when we talked about certain things, she seemed quite agitated.
What did you understand to be the source of this distress?
She explained to me that there had been a blogger, a Tasha K, that she didn't know, had never met, that was writing and posting lies and doing videos about her. She said that the videos was horrible in terms of content. She talked about lies being that such as she was doing cocaine, lies being that she had herpes, HPV. She was devastated by the lies because she felt like the lies was going to hurt her reputation. And in hurting her reputation, she was just getting started. At that point in her music industry and her was just really beginning to take off. She had reached out and trying to get people to help stop it because she wanted it. She really was concerned and devastated that that was going to just kill her career.
When you say she reached out to someone to stop it, what do you mean?
She attempted to get some of the social media outlets to take the post down. No one would take the post down. She said that she had been online, had said to people she didn't do that. You know, that's not true. But people were believing it. And the lies were being repeated. So not only was Tasha K publishing the lies, but what was happening at the time of the course, it continued. The lies were repeated by her own followers.
Did you tell did she tell you that she reached out to Tasha K?
At that time, she did tell me she attempted everything. I was not clear initially if she had reached out to Tasha K herself, but she said she had tried and had been on social media and tried her best to get things to stop. And all she wanted her to do is just stop posting the lies.
How would you describe the level of Cardi's mental distress when you observed her that weekend in New York?
I was quite concerned. If you talk about levels, if I can say a level from 1 to 10, with 1 being the best and 10 being the worst, she was definitely a 10.
Dr. Blake, what did you observe? Let me go back. How many sessions did you have with Cardi that weekend in New York?
8 hours.
And was that broken up?
That was broken up into 4 sessions, 2 hours each.
And were all of these sessions at the same location?
No,
Where were the other sessions?
there was 1 session in Harlem.
And what did you observe in the 3 other sessions you had with Cardi that weekend?
I observed a continuation of distress. She was overwhelmed. She was emotionally overwhelmed because she felt helpless. I heard her feelings in terms of her expression of helplessness. She felt like she had no support. She continued to cry and continued to be very anxious, and depression remained.
What was your opinion of the status of her mental health at that time?
At that time, I felt she was depressed. She was she had a lot of anxiety. I also felt at the time that her mental health, she was in a crisis, and it was not very well at all.
What diagnoses did you make based on your sessions with Cardi in New York that weekend?
That weekend, I did not make a formal diagnosis. I looked at depression and anxiety as a working diagnosis. Um, and at that time, when I went and I didn't know for sure what was going on, and she started talking about the blogger, I was under the belief that this was a temporary thing. The source of her stress, the source of her anxiety was focused on Tasha K.
Did you make any recommendations to Cardi about how to manage all of these emotions?
Yes, I made the recommendations. I made 3 recommendations. One, given that everything I saw was anxiety, there was no prior history. I did check out, there was no prior history of depression. There was no prior history of anxiety. There was no prior of a mental disorder, given that. And she did not appear suicidal at the time. She was extremely stressed, but she was just overwhelmed. At that given time, given the source of the stress was Tasha K, I recommended that she turn Tasha K in the issues with that over to the management team and her legal team and let them deal with that. I suggested that the second recommendation was she take a break. She and her family, she was exhausted, take a break. try to disconnect as best as she could from the social media to clear her head and let them have an opportunity to take that on. The third thing was individual therapy. At that time, I had no reason when I left New York to believe that if her legal team stopped the lies from being posted, her depression and anxiety would be eliminated. It would get resolved.
When did you next see Cardi?
In 2020.
How many sessions did you have multiple sessions with her in 2020?
I did.
Did Cardi's management team reach out to you about setting up these sessions?
They did.
And what did they tell you when they reached out to you?
At that point, they again was concerned. They needed me to see her. And I think at that point, she also wanted to talk to me.
During those sessions in 2020, what were your observations of Cardi?
I was totally surprised. Her mental health status had just deteriorated. Things were much worse than they had been when I left New York. I had assumed that Tasha K was going to respond to the legal team's request to stop and decease. That did not happen. The posts not only had continued, they had increased. They were being repeated over and over again. Not only that, Cardi was devastated. Devastated. She was feeling totally helpless, totally helplessness. She was being taunted. People were calling her Cardi instead of Cardi B, Herpes B. She was embarrassed. She was humiliated. She felt that she was bringing shame to her family. Her family was very important to her. She was really, really overwhelmed that she felt that her efforts was all bringing attention and shame to her family, and she didn't want that. She was also struggling in terms of her appetite. At that point, she had also lost weight. At that point, she was having headaches. At that point, she was just overall just doing what she needed to get in terms of functioning. And I say that meaning that she would go out and do what she needed to do and come home and just go back to bed.
So, was she continuing to have sleep disturbances?
She was sleeping as much as she could, yes. And she also was struggling in terms of just being engaged. She isolated a lot,
Was she angry?
very angry, very angry. And at that point, with her anger, I had helped her process the fact that her legal team was working on issues. She did not want to sue. She did not want to go to court. Her whole goal was just to stop the lies and stop the posting. And it was at that point she had talked about having reached out to Tasha K personally to try and get her to stop because she felt like if she could, get her to stop personally because they had some things in common, being a mother, she would listen. And rather than stop it, that information was taken. A video apparently made, and she was mocked. And so she was further humiliated. She was further embarrassed. She was devastated. She was forever explaining or denying that she had herpes or that she used cocaine or she cheated on her husband. That was a real concern because she felt like her family did not deserve any of the attention. Also, there have been stories recorded that her father had abused someone.
Did you think Cardi was suicidal at that time?
I was about to say I was quite concerned about her mental health issues. At that point, she talked about having feelings of suicide. She talked about not wanting to live, talking about she was bringing so much shame and so much. She just couldn't go on because she could not get any reprieve. She could just get help from social media platforms. She had followed my suggestion, followed my recommendation, turned it over to the legal team, and that wasn't working. She didn't know which way to turn.
Did you make a safety plan for Cardi?
I did. I was quite concerned about the possibility of suicide. I did a risk analysis where I really looked at the risk factors in terms of suicide. She didn't have a prior history. At that point, she didn't have a plan, but she had some protective factors that I felt was strong enough for me to just do a safety plan. And for protective factors included issues with her faith. She believed, she prayed, she talked about how she prayed a lot, prayed for this to be resolved. Her faith was one of those protective factors. Her family, the fact that she had a child. So I did a safety plan and she agreed to it.
How are Cardi's coping skills?
Impaired.
Do you have serious concerns about her mental health status?
I had very serious concerns. And I had serious concern because I work a lot with celebrities and entertainers as well as other people. But I also knew that in the back of my mind, I also knew that suicide is the second leading cause of death in this age range. With suicide being the second leading cause of death, I had to consider the risk factors in terms of public. And what happens is when we think about depression and suicide, a lot of times we don't look at the health issues as the same as physical health. And I couldn't help thinking about people not knowing, not understanding what happened to Robin Williams, which was a comedian, or Kate Spade, very successful people, but they all committed suicide, or Anthony Bourdain. One of the things that when I say people
Dr.
underestimate,
Sherry, Dr. Sherry, your mic is breaking up again. It's breaking up a lot.
hold on, let me.
My apologies, everyone. It was just hard for me to hear her.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, good.
Now you're kind of vibrating. Okay, I'm gonna start at one of the things that when I say people underestimate, I was real concerned because in physical health, what happens, and let me give you an example. If someone walked in this courtroom and was stabbed in the chest, we will all be horrified. We would see the blood, we would see them cringe, we would see the pain. We may even hear them scream. That person, people would probably go into action to help. They will go into action. Somebody would try to help the person. I'm sure they would call 911. Everybody would get involved. We would see the bleed outwardly in mental health. The wound and the stab wound is there, but the stab wound and the bleeding is all internal. So she bleeds as in mental health, and it's just they bleed internally, but you don't see the blood. Therefore, nobody comes to help. Nobody talks about it a lot of times, and that person bleeds continuously internally. And in Cardi's case, if I had to look at that analogy, every post, every lie, everything was like a constant stab. And she was stabbed over and over again. Trying to get it to stop made it worse because she was stabbed again. And the blood, the bleeding, we just didn't see it, but it was internal. So when I speak with her, I was quite concerned.
Dr. Blake, based on your experience, training, and education, what was your diagnosis of my client at that time?
Major depressive disorder and anxiety disorder.
In your opinion, how did Cardi's mental state in 2018 compare to 2020 that you've been describing?
Her mental status had definitely deteriorated. Her coping skills was definitely impaired. She felt helpless. She felt hopeless. And as I mentioned, she had thoughts of suicide. When when I looking at a rating scale, as I mentioned, when I saw her in New York, she was at a 10, with 10 being the worst. But when I saw her in 2020, she was off the scale. It was way beyond 10. And I spent time talking to her and, trying to look at coping skills.
Did you have therapy sessions with Cardi in 2021?
I did.
How would you describe Cardi's mental state during your sessions in 2021?
In 2021, she continued to struggle and suffer a depression. She was extremely sad that nothing had changed. She felt extremely helpless. That again, she had made repeated efforts. She had done what I had asked her. She had her legal team working and nothing had changed. and she was continuing to bleed internally. And at that point, I felt like she was hemorrhaging.
Dr. Blake, I like to show you Plaintiff's Exhibit 24. This is already in evidence, Your Honor.
Okay, it's going to pop up on your screen.
Thank you.
Dr. Blake, do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is this?
That's an invoice for the trip to New York.
Has this invoice been paid in full by my client?
It has.
How many sessions have you had with Cardi?
16.
How much have you invoiced her to date for these almost 20 therapy sessions?
10,000.
Have you been paid in full?
Yes.
I like to show you what's been marked Plaintiff's Exhibit 45. Your Honor, this is also previously admitted. Do you recognize this, Dr. Blake?
I do.
And what is this?
That's an invoice for a therapy session.
And is your fee recited there in the invoice?
Yes.
And what is that?
$250.
Does your rate change depending on whether you're seeing somebody locally versus traveling?
Yes.
I like to show you Plaintiff's 46. This has not been admitted yet, Your Honor. Dr. Blake, do you recognize this?
Yes, it's an invoice.
I like to move this into evidence, Your Honor.
No objection.
Plaintiff's 46 is admitted without objection.
Whereupon Plaintiff's Exhibit 46 was marked for the purpose of identification and admitted into evidence.
Dr. Blake, what is this invoice for?
$250 for a therapy session an hour.
So this is an invoice for one of the sessions you had with my client.
Yes.
Dr. Blake, have you seen Cardi in 2022?
Yes.
What is your opinion of Cardi's mental health today?
Cardi continues to be depressed. She continues to fight to hold it together. She's very anxious, underneath, quite depressed, and nothing has changed. Still bleeding internally. We just don't see it.
Do you think she's suicidal today?
I don't think she's suicidal today. However, she's still emotionally distressed today.
Do you think Cardi's emotional pain will continue into the future?
Yes. I think part of that is the videos, the social media posts, all of that still remains up. Although those things needs to come down, the trauma, the issues in terms of depression, anxiety, and all of the horrific, stories that were told, they are permanently in her memory.
Your Honor, may I have a moment to confer with? Thank you. Dr. Blake, one last question. The opinions you expressed today about Cardi's mental health status, what have you based those opinions on?
I base those opinions on over 30 years of experience, 30 years of training, education, and my clinical work.
Thank you. And I have no further questions, Your Honor.
May I have some water?
Sure. She'd like another bottle of water. Jennifer, maybe you'll call, or maybe you can just grab her one.
Thank you. She's bringing me one.
Okay, she's got one.
Thank you.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Questions from the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Blake, Dr. Blake.
Good morning.
Back in 2018, there was a person named Johnny Lester that worked for you. Is that correct?
Correct.
And in 2018, Johnny Lester was the person that was communicating with plaintiff's representative on your behalf. Is that correct?
I'm sorry. Would you repeat your question?
Excuse me. In 2018, prior to your trip to New York, Johnny Lester, was he the one who was communicating with plaintiff's representative on your behalf?
He was the one that makes the schedule. He takes care of my scheduling.
So he had contacted the plaintiff's representative.
When they called, they would have gotten him. Yes.
And there was also text messages exchanged between Johnny Lester and the representative of the plaintiff.
I don't know how they communicated, but he would be the contact person.
Okay. I would like to show you what's marked as Defendant Exhibit 96 for identification purposes.
All right. It's about to come up on the screen for you.
Thank you.
Do you see that now on your screen?
Yes.
Okay. Is this one of the communication that Johnny Lester had on your behalf?
Let me put my glasses on.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, your question?
Does that look like one of the communication that Johnny Lester had with plaintiff's representative on your behalf?
I don't have all his communication, so I don't know.
Okay. Does that communication mention your name and your session with the plaintiff?
It does.
Okay. Your Honor, I would like to introduce Defendant Exhibit 96 into evidence.
Is there an objection from the defendant?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Plaintiff's Exhibit 96 is admitted. I'm sorry. Defendant's Exhibit 96 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Defendant's Exhibit 96 was marked for the purpose of identification and admitted into evidence.
Okay. And in this communication towards the top, it says, Linda, hope your Saturday is well. Just checking in. Dr. Cherry and CB had a great first session. Dr. Cherry gave great feedback when I spoke with her. They scheduled another session today. I know CB has moved to a new address other than the London, about half an hour away. Is that correct? Is that what's in the text message?
Yes.
Okay. You see towards the bottom, it says November 5th, 2018. That's another communication that was made. Do you see that date?
Yes.
Okay. So, would have been at the same time you were in New York. Is that correct?
What's the date again? November.
Towards the bottom of the screen, it's November 5th, 2018. So,
I wasn't in New York on November the 5th.
okay. When he's referring to you, I hope your Saturday is well. And your first session, that is referring to your session in New York. Is that correct?
I assume. I don't know.
Did you see the plaintiff at the London hotel?
I don't recall the name of the hotel. It could have easily been. Everything was sort of where I was taken, so I wasn't real sure.
Okay. I would like to show you now what's been marked as Defendant Exhibit 97 for identification purposes. Are you able to see that on your screen, Dr. Blake? Are you
Yes.
able to see the exhibit?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And does that look more like communication from Johnny Lester regarding your session with the plaintiff?
This is a communication regarding that. It's not about the session.
Right. Okay.
It's
So
regarding the session.
right. Okay. So regarding one of the session that you had with the plaintiff.
Yes.
Okay. I moved Defendant Exhibit 97 into evidence.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
97 is admitted without objection.
Okay. Court reporter? Okay. All right.
Whereupon Defendant's Exhibit 97 was marked for purposes of identification and admitted into evidence.
Thank you.
And toward the top of the page, Johnny Lester says, also, I did get word from Dr. Sherry that the second session went very well yesterday. She felt she turned a corner with CB about establishing and maintaining a stress plan. My understanding is CB is headed to DR. Dr. Sherry was hoping this could be a time for her and her husband to have downtime. But CB, and then it looks like the last text came in. It looks like the last line should have come in first, and then the second to the last. But basically, it should have been flipped. I think the way the text came is was out of order. I'm going to read it how I believe it should be. It should came in. So it says CB informed Dr. Sherry others were going with them. Dr. Sherry's feedback was she rather less people go. If issues arise while they are on vacation, she will make herself available to go to CB. Do you see all that in Exhibit 97?
I see it.
And presumably, CB would be the plaintiff.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I would like to show what we have been pre-marked as uh, defendant exhibit 98 for identification purposes. Are you able to see that on the screen, Dr. Blake?
Yes.
Okay. And does that look like another communication from sent by Johnny Lester on your behalf and the same representative of the plaintiff?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to move defendant's exhibit 98 into evidence.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
98 is admitted without objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Defendant's Exhibit 98 was marked for the purposes of identification and submitted into evidence.
Okay. This message was sent on February 11, 2019. Do you see that date all the way at the top?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to read the full message. It says, Linda, Happy New Year. Johnny with Dr. Sherry. And I hope and pray all is well and CB as well. When CB expressed to Dr. Sherry she would not be continuing services, Dr. Sherry did not like to push back to give the client space to see if this is truly what they would like to do. I know Dr. Sherry has checked in with Latiba off and on, but if the need arises for more services, I want to let you know we are here. When Dr. Sherry sees resistance, she finds it best to be invited back rather than forcible. As always, any question, I am here, Johnny. Is that what the message said?
I'm sorry, was that message sent? Is that what you asked?
What I just said is what you see on defense exhibit.
Is what I see, yes.
The thing that you discuss on your direct examination as far as things that you know the plaintiff was stating that happened to her, as happening to her. All those are all, and I may not be using the right terms, but I believe self report. Is that correct?
Correct.
And can you please explain what self report means?
She reported what she was experiencing and what she had encountered.
So basically, when you're just repeating what she has told you, is that fair to say?
No. Not only did I repeat what she had told me, some of the things I talked about my observation and my assessment of what was going on.
Aside from the clinical diagnosis that you may have, I mean, like a factual scenario about, my client and what they had going on, those were all self-reports from the plaintiff. Are you to you during her session? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You did write two summaries as a result of the one in 2018 and one in, well, scratch that. Did you write any summaries regarding your session with the plaintiff?
Yes.
Okay. And at this point, I would like to show what's been marked as Defendant Exhibit 99 for identification purposes.
Objection.
Sorry, you have an objection to her showing the document to the witness for identification purposes?
I have an objection based on the pretrial conference, Your Honor. May we approach the bench?
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor. Court.
Court bound.
Whereupon a bench conference was held between the court and counsel.
Your Honor, some white noise for the jury, some white noise so they can't hear.
We activate whatever we have.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, these two summaries, there was a statement that one of the things that Tasha K was reporting about my client was that she drugged and robbed men.
Said that she was what?
One of the things that she self-reported was that one of the lies was that she drugged and robbed men, and that has been specifically excluded by Your Honor.
So is 99 more than just the one letter? I read the one letter a while ago.
I'm sorry.
All right, let me grab it. Hold on. All right. So she asked her to identify 99.
Sorry, it's 2.
I know there's a second page. This is a 2-page letter memo.
From Dr. Blake.
Okay, is this what you're looking at?
Yes, and Your Honor,
There's 2.
I'm sorry. All I have is 100 after that.
It's marked, I think, 103 or something like that. The second one.
Did you ask her to identify 103?
Not yet. Not yet.
what I want to say, Your Honor, is we don't have an objection to the first one, but the second one has a reference to drugging and robbing, which we have an objection to.
Well,
So if there's a limitation, that's not,
let me just.
of course, Your Honor, no one has opened the door to that, Your Honor.
Okay, 103 hasn't even been identified at this point. Are you going to, do you intend to do that?
I do intend to do that. My intention is to question this report does not have anything to do about say anything about suicide or suicidal or anything like that. That's what my intention is for this report. Not to ask her about, I didn't even know that was written in there.
She could ask that without the jury seeing that language.
We can redact it.
You want it redacted?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We can redact it.
Then I have no objection, Your Honor.
One at a time. Do you have an objection to redacting that line?
No, but we'll have to do it. It's real quick.
All right. I'm not sure if you can do it. Can you do it and scan it so that you can, if you intend to show the jury now, you're going to have to do it and scan it, or you're going to have to do it in the hard form?
I believe Mr. Sabak can do it on the software we have but we'll need time to. We just need time to.
My assistant might be able to help you if you need.
I believe he can do it.
All right. So let's just go ahead and we'll take a 10-minute recess and then y'all can deal with that. I do want to talk a little bit more about it without the jury in the room.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Court deputy.
Whereupon the following proceedings continued in the open court.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 10-minute recess, our morning recess, a little early so that we can deal with an administrative issue related to a document. So we'll see you in about 10 minutes. Thank you.
All rise, whereupon the jurors exit the courtroom. Please be seated and come to order.
All right, so the objection that was made is premature. The objection was made in response to document 99. Maybe that was not what Ms. Moore had in her mind, but that's when the objection came forward. I don't think that the plaintiff has any objection to document 99. Is that correct, Ms. Moore?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. The plaintiff's objection really goes to the expected tender momentarily of document 103. And document 103, as far as I understand it, the part of the objection has to do with the second paragraph, fifth sentence that states as follows. Ms. Almanzar stated that some of the lies that Tasha K published about her included that she is a prostitute, she has herpes and HPV, she's a drug addict, she is not a good mother, she has drugged and raped men, she's filed for divorce from her husband because he'd gotten another woman pregnant and claimed that her father was a rapist. Now, my understanding is that the plaintiff's concern is over the part of it that she says has drugged and raped men. And the plaintiff's objection goes to the motion in limine, which eliminates any evidence of that from the case and or that I guess that the plaintiff's complaint for slander and libel does not rest on the alleged statement by the defendant. The defendant is agreeing to redact that specific clause. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Moore, anything else?
No, Your Honor, that's it. Thank you.
All right, so in our break, if y'all can figure out how to redact it, if you want to show it to the jury now, you can do it later and show it to the jury later. But if you want to do it now, you can do it now. If you can do it, you can admit it. Let me just state for the record, I wouldn't have redacted it personally because it says lies, I mean, it's not testimony. It's what plaintiff says was a lie, but the defendant has agreed to the redaction. So that's what we will do. We'll take a 10-minute recess. Thank you.
Your Honor, I have a quick question. When we do a redacted, do you want us to give it the same exhibit number or?
The same exhibit, just redact it, and it's still exhibit 103. And I guess when you tender that, there'll be no objection because it will be in redacted form.
And once it's redacted, I can email everyone a copy of that.
However y'all do that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Court stand.
I'm sorry.
Court stands in recess for 10 minutes. Brief
Okay.
recess.
Okay. Do you guys want to stop here or do you want to
Yes.
keep going? Okay. All right, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We're going to stop right here. We're going to continue this on tomorrow. So, anyone have any question? Dr. Sherry, you were great.
Definitely.
Yeah, you did very well.
Thank you. Thank you.
To
That was
anyone,
fun.
we do like talk about a little bit of what we have read. So, what is your opinion, Dr. Sherry, of what is some of your experience?
I read this once you sent it to me earlier. I read it, and I just had to kind of sit in it for a minute because it was a lot. Especially with someone reading from the outside, and then being able to see the actual inside of what was going on. It was very alarming. It was very piercing, I think would be a term that I would like to use. So just being able to read and seeing all the things from the therapist's point, I think the therapist did an amazing job. I love the way they made sure that her opinions and her statements could not be tested to be incredible because she made it very clear of who she was and what she has done, and that she knew what she was talking about. So I like the way she handled herself in the beginning of the cross exam. I know we haven't finished it because they try to do a little slight, look, they tried it there for a hot second, but she's a smart chick.
Yeah, definitely.
Very smart.
Definitely.
I think it was very telling how callous the defendant is. Natasha K. Very callous, and to think that we would have a superstar like Cardi, if we would have, if the world would have lost her behind some YouTube mess, that was not true. And I like how the doctor in this testimony brought up Robin Williams and Anthony Bourdain and the other people that they brought up.
Spade.
Yeah, Kate Spade, because it really, to me, in reading that, it really just drove it home that, this is the risk of bullying, for lack of a better term, on social media, and the fact that the defendant in this case just really gave zero care.
Yeah. And then for Olga to try to say, well, in the summary, we didn't see her mention anything about suicide. I mean, like, really?
Well, and then she also tried to minimize it by saying, well, you just wrote down what she told you, right?
Right.
And the doctor's already gone through here and laid it out in full detail what her expertise is.
Right, and her credentials.
Thank you. And then that's all Olga had.
Oh, that was like, really? Like, so what you trying to say about her? Like, she just gonna repeat, and like she said, I did my assessment, and based on my experience and everything that I have done, I know what to diagnose her as, and it wasn't just solely on what she told me.
And the fact that she's worked with a variety of clientele.
Yes. Other celebrities, high profile people, athletes.
I think the jury, when she did that during the line of questioning, I watched the jurors as she was almost like challenging her credentials.
Yeah.
And you can, sit in the courtroom, you get the color of how the courtroom moves. And I don't think they really took too kindly to that. This woman has over 30-something years of experience. She has laid out all her credentials. And then you would just come up, not, you coming up to the podium and not fully qualified to even handle this case, and you're questioning her
exactly.
Her credentials. It was just sad. I want to just say thank you to Alana Banks. And for those who don't know, Alana Banks was the star of a show in Atlanta called Sell It in the A. She's also, an accomplished Hollywood realtor, but she's, she can tell her credentials. But I'm just saying that I appreciate her taking the time because she has a very busy schedule. She's in the sky a whole lot. And I want to thank everyone else that have obviously supported Sylvia in her efforts to get the story out there. And once again, I have to ask the question. Did anyone think my reporting on this case was biased?
No.
Nope, you were right on it.
No, you wasn't, Dennis. You was on point.
Yeah.
Definitely. Basically, all of you all that reported that were actually there.
Well, shout out to the attorney Lisa Moore, who was in the bushes. I don't know if she's still in the bushes, but she was in the bushes.
She's out right now. Hold on, she just popped up and said something. There she go.
I hope I spoke well.
You spoke well. But I want to say to attorney Lisa Moore, I know this was a lot of work that you had to put into this case. I know there were points where they were trying to. The defendant was trying to trigger you or trigger what you were doing, but you helped. You were the professional as well as Sarah, as well as your husband. We call him Lisa's husband. We just gonna call by his first name, Lisa. But again, I thank everyone for obviously getting the story out there, because one of the things that was said during the fake "I Have a Dream" speech by the blogging lady was that the the transcripts is going to paint a true picture of what happened.
Yeah,
Well, I think that the transcript speaks for itself.
definitely.
Unless there's a smoking gun somewhere down the road, everything that was reported was in the transcripts.
Hmm.
Um,
Unless she comes back and say that the court reporter was paid, like she implied that the judge was in the trial.
oh my goodness.
The payola.
Yeah, they don't want to go down that road. But anyway, guys, thank you for obviously doing what you do. And I say anyone that's watching, listening, support the channel. Even the video is going to be here after after the presentation is over. Just go ahead and support it, share it, talk about it, and have discussions, because there was a lot going on. It was very sad for me. It was sad watching the doctor explain what Cardi was going through. You know, after listening to Cardi on the stand, and then the doctor came in, and I think the analogy she gave about the stabbing,
Yeah.
that was powerful.
It certainly
good.
was. It
That was
certainly
good.
was.
She definitely brought it home with that, and I think again, watching the jury or the jurors, they were definitely moved by that.
Yeah.
But see, that also goes to my point about how careless or unfeeling the defendant was, because to hear the doctor explain that internal bleed,
Yeah.
and then and the fact that the videos are still up at the time of the testimony, the videos were still up, and the
Yeah.
fact that even now, they had to go back into court because the behavior in so many ways has continued to persist.
Yeah.
After hearing something like that, I would have been texting somebody, take that stuff down now, even before the trial was over. But for the trial to have been concluded, you have been found guilty or liable, and you still there's still drama about the videos. That just says a lot about the person.
Right.
And the thing that gets me too now with this whole I ain't got it. They think it's a joke.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so,
definitely.
Ooh.
It's so very sad. And the thing too is that with her stating that she even reached out to her personally and tried to, relate to her as a mother to a mother. And I mean, you can imagine the helplessness and the hopelessness she felt, because she tried everything, everything in her power, to talk to her personally, trying to defend herself, disputed in the, comments section, then going the legal route, and still.
Yeah. And then, you can look at it and you say, well, it's just somebody talking a little bit about you. But then when you think about everything that Cardi had on the line, because if your neighbor says something about you, you'd be like, yeah, whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Maybe throw some garbage in their yard or something,
Yeah.
But here we have somebody who's on a global profile. And then you
Yeah.
have someone else, which it's sad, but it's true. The defendant has got a lot of viewers and a lot of influence. And for her to really just knock the wind out of Cardi B with her words and
Yeah.
her actions, it's very narcissistic in my opinion.
Where are we in society if we think, if we are, we are accepting this type of behavior online? What kind of society that we are in? We accepting stuff like this? It's just ridiculous.
Right.
Right.
I mean, if you have an ounce of decency and understand the pain that you cause someone,
right,
and you're a senior, that, and
Yeah.
you're a senior and you're doing stuff like this, that says a lot about you. It says a lot about you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then to even try to minimize, well, she must hadn't been too distressed because she still performed here and went here.
Right.
And like the therapist said, she did what she had to do, but then she came home and was depressed. She
Right.
went through the motions, just like Anthony Bourdain and Robin Woods. All of them still performed but still was bleeding inside.
Right. You didn't know nothing about it. You didn't know what they were suffering through until the news
Exactly.
broke about
Exactly.
each other.
Exactly.
And it's sad that, there's just no empathy for what Cardi was going through.
Yeah.
At no point in this thing was there any empathy on her behalf. She was only worried about, Tasha K was only worried about, or so it appears, herself, and how much more credibility she could gain by continuing to do this. And I think too, she didn't respect the fact that Cardi was being nice about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of Cardi pulling up, and it's on site when I see you, you know, Cardi handled it professionally, and I don't think Tasha K respected that.
Right.
It was
No,
something else that was said during they played the video of Tasha K talking directly to Cardi, saying that if Cardi wanted her to take the videos down, she had to pay her. And then she said after she said she'll find another way to make residual income. Well, she has this campaign going now, I Don't Got It t-shirt, so she's found another way to still eat off of this
Wow.
trauma that she caused Cardi. So I think Judge Ray and her legal team will move in the right fashion and to bring this to the attention of the court. But more importantly, it just shows the narcissism
Wow.
and the way she's dealing with this. It's just ridiculous.
Absolutely, I agree.
this behavior is past a vendetta, because this situation, this is not the first time that a blogger has gotten to the point of court with a celebrity. And I'm glad that, I hate that this happened, but with even the outcome, I'm hope that this will set the tone
Yeah.
for any future bloggers, because we are living in such a world where social media is so powerful, and bloggers feel like they have a voice and a platform, and there's no control of the limits that they have.
Mhm.
So I think going forward, hopefully, no one will have to endure what Cardi has went through, regardless of what their career path is and how public their life is. Because a few years ago, this happened to another blogger in Atlanta that winded up in a hot seat for many celebrities that were suing her. So hopefully this will be the last time that someone will have to endure this,
Right.
because suicide rates are extremely high. Cardi B is life. She carried on throughout this whole trial with that face where no one could really see what she was dealing with internally. And I just recently lost someone who done the same. He was the epitome of life, and just recently committed suicide in Atlanta.
In Jesus' name.
Wow.
So you never know, because you
Sorry
see
to hear
someone,
that.
like they say, you always check
Yeah.
on your strong friends.
Yes.
That's a front. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure everyone on here, we have had our days, but no one would never know it.
Right.
Right. Right.
So
Absolutely.
just for her to be a new mom and to come from where she's coming from,
Right.
when you come from a certain place, you're gonna do whatever you got to do to make sure you don't go back there.
Right.
So to
Absolutely.
possibly have this to be stripped away because of someone vendetta, someone
Right.
jealousy, someone who ain't got time to do nothing else but their own life.
Right.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
she handled it well, but I just hope that we are not having this conversation with no one else.
Right.
Yes.
And this should trickle down even to, because there's all this YouTube beef. So just
Yes.
your non-popular, even though they're popular on, in the certain sectors that they're in, there's a lot of that going on. And you would
Yes,
hope
it
that
is.
this would trickle down into those sectors where, find some other ways to create content other than, dogging somebody or riding somebody so hard about their personal life
Right.
to this extent, because this is ridiculous. And
They're
it's just
selling their soul for the light of
a
someone
click and a
else.
view, a
Yeah.
click
A
and a
click and a
view.
view.
That's exactly what you're saying. You're
Come
selling
on.
their soul to have light from someone else, but you're going about it the wrong way. That's not the
Mhm.
type of light you should need. You just want to have your name being used and trending. That's not a way to trend.
Right.
No. 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 Because eventually it will fail. And there are some bloggers who have committed suicide because of the bullying and the beefs online.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It definitely has.
So it's really a sad situation, and I hope this does set a precedence, and we don't have to keep going through that. And that's another thing where even the attorney mentioned, it's like if the court doesn't stop this, like she said that if the court doesn't stop her and she's not stopping, you know, then how many more times does she have to keep filing and filing perpetually? So it's like this, and it's messed up that she would even state that it was going to take the court or the white people to tell her to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So April 1st, there will be a hearing on this, and this judge is a very smart judge, and I'm sure that he's I don't know if he's watching what's going on online, but this is a very high profile case, and he wasn't having it in his courtroom. As you saw, he was not having it on either side.
On either side, he was not biased. He put everybody in check.
So hopefully Cardi will get the justice that she seeks. She's spent a lot of resources, a lot of time, and it actually affected her family as well.
Yeah.
But to your knowledge, Dennis, does the T-shirts that are, I ain't got it or whatever she got on them shirts, is that included? Is that going to be discussed as well in this April 1st?
I don't know. I'm not part of the legal team. I don't know what what their strategy is. And I don't think the attorney would mention that tonight either, or talk about because it's something that she had to talk about in the courtroom. But it's definitely thumbing the nose at the system when you do stuff like that.
Yes. And I'm like, this is the federal court. This is no joke court or no clown court. This is the federal court.
I wonder if they could they make her, like, could they say, look, take all that stuff down in the next 5 minutes, or you're going to have a vacation inside one of these cells. Can that happen?
Contempt.
Come on, can that be?
I don't know, but that would be a good question for the attorneys. Maybe if the like, for example, if she's hiding the money or if she's shifting money in different accounts, I'm sure there can be a motion file to do
audit.
I'm sure there are things that her legal team can do. But I think that right now she might be looking at this as she's getting all this media attention. But you're getting it for the wrong reasons. And any smart publicist that is looking to get their client on the platform, they're not going to put them on her platform.
And this all will fade away. All of this will fade away once the final, injunction is given. And I believe that the judges, at least his law clerks, are watching some of this stuff going on.
I would just say that there were so many people coming from different courtrooms to watch this case. There were somebody from the chief judges. I want to say it was Judge Baberman. He's the chief judge at the court, and Judge Baberman was the same one who handled the T.I. gun case that I covered for Hip Hop Weekly. So, and actually he's retired. He's retiring in April. But he had people from his courtroom coming down listening to what was going on in this trial. And I thought that was interesting. There were people from different courtrooms, and you had those suits coming in there. So
yeah. And I know when the sniper case was going on, they do let the court people. Did they have wristbands?
No, they had their badges. They had their court badges.
No, there were some people with wristband on.
Okay, yeah, because that's what happened when I was working at the courts, and for the snipers, we had to have wristbands on, so they know that you worked for the court, and they let you in, even though it wasn't under my judge, but they let other court people go in, and so that's probably what they allowed, knowing this was a big case, high profile case.
Absolutely.
This is just so sad. I mean, it's like, and I'm like, they said that Tasha K is in therapy. I'm trying to understand what therapy.
What?
Yeah, she says that she's in therapy. So I don't know. She said she's been in therapy for years. So I don't know. She may need.
No, you do know it's not working.
She need Dr. Blake.
Send her on over here.
Because I'm not
Dr. Grace,
understanding.
send on over here.
Send her on over here.
Yeah, but she may be to the point that how people are telling her to do this and that, and she's just not following the advice. She's
Do you
doing her own thing.
think a credible therapist would tell her that what she's doing is right? A credible?
No.
Not at all.
There's a disconnect that's somewhere.
Yeah.
Something is not right. I mean,
Yeah.
so the fact that she's going to therapy, maybe it's not the right type of therapy.
Allegedly.
And she's definitely not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but someone, and maybe the judge will maybe try to look into that and get that help so that she doesn't, divert this energy to something else that's
Right.
not worthy.
Right.
Well, it's the saying, you could only push someone so far
Right.
in the corner before they come out,
Yeah.
And when they try to suggest that Cardi was part of a gang, if Cardi was part of a gang, she wouldn't be in that court. It would be street code that would be at play. She wouldn't. A gang would not even let her, put those resources out there. They would deal with it.
Yeah.
But when you bring that up, Dennis, and which leads me to what I read in the beginning of these transcripts, where they were trying, and Sylvia, I don't know if you got to this part yet, so where they were trying to infer that you were someone to be afraid of because of the fact that you were trying to serve. Now, how can one say, help me? I just see this is why I was just so, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And you knew that the man was trying to serve you. So how can you expect others to have empathy for you because you knew this lie you're telling right now, you're trying to say that's what scared you.
Yeah.
But then she knows exactly what she was doing to Cardi.
Right.
But she can't put those two together and equate that.
Right. Because she said Dennis was really after her and
he's
harassing her, and
he had a scarf on. I'm exaggerating.
No, she never seen. First of all, I wasn't the one serving her. She's never seen me. I've never been in her neighborhood. Well, her old neighborhood, where she didn't live there anymore. So that was a lie already. But I wasn't the one trying. I'm not a process server, so I wasn't trying to serve her. And if you go to TMZ, you will hear the process server, who doesn't sound like me, that served her.
Well, why did she how did your name get in it like that then? If you don't mind
that's another story for another
time.
Another time. Just know that I had never had any interaction with her. I never asked about a kid, none of that. It was just the gaslight and making up the story, because one of the things that if that would have came in, you would have had to bring the neighbor in who said that I asked those questions.
Right.
And didn't Olga, didn't she try to, when the judge asked her something, she was like, no, we don't want to admit that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Right. Exactly. I read that. You don't want, we want to talk about it, but we don't want to bring the neighbor in.
Right.
This is our excuse, but we don't want you to verify.
No, we don't want you to verify. Just take our word for it. Take our word that what she's saying is true. No.
Just like the neighbor probably name was Mimi too.
Oh, yeah.
Mimi.
M-E.
Mimi. Yeah. Me. M-E. Me. M-E. Me.
Right. M-E.
Oh,
me.
Lord.
Lord today.
All right, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you. I got to roll, but I'm gonna try to get on with you guys tomorrow. Alana, thank you.
You're very welcome, love.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Sylvia. Everyone, judge, attorneys, court, the administrator who probably took a break. I think I heard the judge. Not this. I heard someone judge sleeping at the wheel for a second, but
yeah,
he recovered.
She recovered. Have order up in here.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Cardi.
Okay, what time? You didn't say what time.
What time? Oh, we didn't say what time. Do y'all want to do same time, 7:30 tomorrow?
Can be closer to 8.
8? Okay, we'll do 8. All right, guys. Oh, thank you so much again, Alana. Thank you,
Yes.
thank you
You're
so
welcome, love.
much. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, everybody. Have a
Okay,
great
see you
one.
Thanks for
tomorrow.
having me.
All right. Bye, Cardi. Bye, Dennis. All right, everybody. See you.
See
Good
ya.
night,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Night,
Good
y'all.
night.
Good night.